Start the stream. Let me know. How we doing? How we doing? We good? Excellent connection. I see nothing coming up though. There we go. Alright, howdy folks. Oh, Doctor here. And we're gonna be taking our final look at the Mr. Beast drama. Now, I know what you're thinking. Holy shit, he has a camera. I know it's not a good one. It's literally the one that you get from Walmart. It's nothing special. I literally bought it to do video chats with my doctor and stuff. I had no intentions on like ever putting the camera on when I went on to the internet, but you know, I feel like it's more genuine to get like a real reaction when you're trying to do this kind of stuff. So I have the chat overlay. I don't know if it's gonna work or not. That's set up. I don't know if I'm gonna get a copyright strike from this. Hopefully not, but you never know. We'll see, I guess. But yeah, I guess it's a 2 hour and 37-minute long video. I guess let's get right into it.
Are you gonna sue Dogpack?
How's the audio doing over here? It looks like it's okay.
Well, Mr. Beast is currently on a private jet on his way to where I live in
Turn it up a
Central
little
Texas
bit
to have a conversation with me with the intention of addressing the controversy that he's been involved in over the last.
But I've watched this a couple of times over now, and I think I have a pretty decent outlook on everything. I think I have all of the questions that I want to ask, like basically ready to go.
To be fair, but I am goofy. All right. Also, back in August, I platformed.
Let's see what
and
goes
out of
on.
fairness, I feel that it is important to do the same for Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast has agreed to keep an open line of communication. He'll only be here for a little bit, which is crazy because he's flying halfway across the country. And he and his team have agreed.
I'm thinking
to
about
provide us
doing
with evidence and information to give proof to claims, so we can actually be as transparent here as possible. The goal
to
of this video is not to
1.25.
please everyone or gotcha somebody. It is for this video to be a meaningful source of information. So to future me and you currently viewing, I'm sure I missed some questions, but I absolutely did my
You
best.
definitely
I
did.
stand behind the
You
result.
absolutely
I look
missed some
forward to seeing
questions.
comments and criticism. Firstly, would you be willing to put your hand on this Bible and swear?
Oh my gosh,
Be
you
honest.
actually have a Bible?
I have two Bibles.
Are you being serious?
I am being serious.
Okay.
I'm swear. We're
Wow.
moving south. This will be an honest video.
Oh, your laptop's blocking it.
Oh, whoops. This will be an honest video. You're a man from North Carolina. I'm from Virginia.
The Bible Belt.
The Bible Belt.
Yep.
Exactly.
I know
And
what this means.
this means it's legit.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
I was not expecting that. Okay.
It's just like legal.
Yeah, can't lie now.
The first biggest question for me and a lot of people that I've spoken to over the last couple months is like, why were you so silent? Especially off the bat, like you did
Lawyers.
the Ava Tyson stuff immediately, but like, you know, right after that, a
Easy.
bunch of other stuff
Lawyers.
came out, and Dawson's video, his first video, gained a bunch of traction. What was your reasoning for being so silent immediately?
No, it's a great question to kick it off on. You actually kind of laid out the timeline there. The Ava stuff came out, and I put out that tweet. We hired the investigators to go look into it, and part of that investigation is they recommended that I not talk about drama or really do anything online because it might influence, you know, witnesses or any people they might interview or ex-employees. So it's a little unfortunate because I told them, okay, I'll wait till the investigation is over. I believe that was literally like a week before the Dogpack video came out, and then truthfully, just in transparency, I've never done one of these like big investigations before. And in my head, it was going to last like 2 or 3 weeks. It ended up taking a couple months. Apparently combing through all the documents and doing all the interviews and everything just took way longer than I thought, because I've never had to bring in a top tier law firm and a former federal prosecutor and let them, you know, do this really big thing. And so that kind of concluded a couple weeks ago when I put out the tweet of the follow-up.
Yeah.
Like that was the day I got the conclusion of it. And I was like, okay, in transparency, I'll throw this out. So up until that point, it was, you know, I told Quinn Emanuel that, you know, to protect the integrity, I wouldn't do anything or engage in any of this drama. And then after that, yeah, like you said, a lot of stuff had come out between when the investigation started and when it ended. And I was just kind of like, whoa, I don't really know how to like hit this stuff. And I made like a little response video, but that's just kind of not my style, where I just kind of like put a lot of the information that I assume we're going to talk about here out. And it just felt weird. Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I've never been in a situation where people have thrown this much stuff at me. And I definitely could have handled it better. Like I probably should have, like the second I could have talked, like, I don't remember the exact date, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we put that report out. Probably should have done something like this right then. If I could go back in time, I would. And yeah, that's kind of like the brain dump, and then here I am.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask. You answered it towards the end, but like, do you regret that? Obviously.
Yeah. If I could go back in time, I would do what we're doing here, because I assume this is like the correct format. It's gonna be a little bit more free flowing and natural, and I wouldn't have wasted so much time like trying to do a response. It's just not my thing. I like so much better, or I'm assuming. I mean, we just started, but I think I'm gonna like so much better being asked the questions and answer it, instead of just like sitting in a chair like this answering it. It just feels a little more natural.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that definitely, you know, that does line up obviously with what's happened, and it makes sense. And I definitely, you know, I feel like, you know, before talking to you, I definitely would imagine that you would regret have not making a response early.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Like that, because that could have, you could have just immediately, if there was information to debunk Dogpack's official his first video off the bat.
Yeah, which obviously had so much disinformation in it. If anyone saw Sagi's video or any of the newer videos now coming out, you would see so much. Too, so much of it. So it's unfortunate that it happened on the back end of when I said I would not talk about or address drama and things. And I mean, there's obviously should have done this sooner. Whoops, but hey, better late than never.
Yeah. Did you think it would get this big?
The thing is, though, is like if you have lawyers involved, like you can't really just go and talk about it like that, because like if it's under investigation, like you can't be like, I don't know, like you could sit there and say that like, oh, it's not going to influence anything, but like it absolutely will. Like it absolutely will.
Truthfully, I thought like if you watch Sagi's video or any of these other videos that are coming out now showing all the discrepancies, I honestly thought a lot of people would find like the information proving the dishonesty earlier.
The Google.
Like because a lot of this could have just figure out Google. A lot of this could, and now I also have to be clear, like I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying I've never done anything wrong, and you can't criticize me. Like
no one's perfect.
I'm sure we'll get to some.
Everybody makes mistakes. We're humans.
And you know, on those things, like I mean, we'll just get to it throughout this because I'm sure you're gonna ask me the questions. But there's just a lot of disinformation that was easily proven. Like the big one that I mean, videos with tens of millions of views collectively. You know, claiming I called a guy Delaware because he committed a crime in Delaware. Like you know, that is not true. His name was just Delaware. I didn't call him Delaware to make fun of him or anything. And I mean, I'm sure you're gonna ask about it later, but like, there's literally he was in a video before I hired him working at Best Buy wearing a name tag.
Yeah. Now here's one example where I say I could have easily done a little bit more research. Oh wait, hold on. Hopefully that wait a second. I don't want audio coming in through the camera. Hold on a second. I don't know, for whatever reason, it's like, I don't know. Hopefully that fixed it. I turned the decibels all the way down. But yeah, right here, here's an example of where I could have done a little bit better research myself.
And like that was public information, and like you know anyone saw that. And like even during
searching through like the old stuff
a couple months ago, I even sent that to a couple YouTubers. I was like, hey, just so you know, like I didn't call him Delaware because of this messed up thing. Like that was just his name, and here's proof. And I guess I probably shouldn't say the name of the creators, but like one of them literally just said to me like, well, it's not really cool to like you or defend you right now, so I don't really care.
That's crazy.
I don't want to take the video down because then people are gonna think I'm controlled opposition. And I was like, whoa,
this is crazy.
Also, like that same photo, are you gonna like throw some things on the screen for them?
Definitely.
Yeah, so throw it on the screen. That same photo, right after that second Dogpack video, started to get traction on Reddit and saying like, hey,
like how do people miss this? I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't have the time.
And it got taken down by the mods.
Like I have stuff going on. Like I stream for like an hour or two before I go to bed, and then like once I turn the cameras off, I'm like, I'm going straight to bed. So like,
and then on Reddit.
I didn't have the time to really look into it like that.
Contrarian to what everyone was saying.
Yeah.
They were suppressing.
Oh, we got someone
censoring
watching.
on extreme.
So you're saying it's like a
Hello.
which I mean Reddit r/YouTube drama is.
Yeah, I know, but it's unfortunate when there's a post with 10,000 upvotes claiming something false about you, and then
I
everyone.
don't know if the chat overlay is going to work. It should pop up on the screen somewhere, but honestly, I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. It's always giving me problems.
Then it's just like, now, you know, again, I'm not trying to sound extreme, but it's just like, oh, you're censoring information. And then that paired with other YouTubers, when I would call them and share it with them, they'd just be like, well, I don't want to be a Mr. Beast Glazer, so I don't really. You know, they wouldn't say it this direct, but they're just essentially say, like, I don't really care if it's true or not. I'm just gonna say what other people say. Like, sorry.
Do you have evidence of like people there being posts that existed and then didn't exist on Reddit that
of
got?
course. Yeah,
okay,
I can
cool.
send you.
Yeah, if you send me anything,
you can throw it up
that.
on screen. I mean, that's not like a conspiracy theory. That's
of course. Yeah.
You know, we can find quite a few.
I'm not that good at using Google. So I'll need you to help me with that. Yeah. So to circle back to the Quinn Emanuel investigation, the big thing on the internet, on Twitter specifically, was that you found yourself to be innocent. Of course, you paid a law firm to find yourself.
Okay, chat's not working, so we'll do this.
How would you respond to the allegation that the investigation was biased from the start?
Yeah. So, first off, to just set the foundation, I think a lot of people are saying, oh, of course, Jimmy did an internal investigation and found himself, they didn't find any wrongdoing, which is also not true, which I assume we'll go into that more later. They did find some wrongdoing, just not in regards to like the serious Ava allegation.
There
so
we go.
that's a, false truth. And then on top of that, it wasn't an internal investigation. It was an external investigation, which is
There's the chat.
we showed.
Yeah, a third-party investigation.
Hello.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, it is a little bit of a, like, a lot of people I saw were saying like, well, you paid them. And it's like, well, yeah, top tier lawyers and federal prosecutors don't work for free. So I have to pay them.
Exactly.
So I don't really know how to debunk that one. I mean, it just is what it is. But yeah, we hired Quinn Emanuel, which is one of the top law firms in the world. Like, I mean, it was very expensive, but I intentionally picked them because they have a reputation and they're not just going to destroy their entire business to be biased towards me.
Exactly.
It was led by a former federal prosecutor who did the whole thing. I mean, it was pretty intense. I mean, they did tons of interviews. I mean, transparently, they even like scanned my phone. Like they have messages I sent to my girlfriend, and I'm like, why is this even relevant? They're like, I mean, if you want a thorough one and you want us to like be confident in what we're saying, we need to see everything. Like they went.
Yeah, I mean, like if it's something to where like he could possibly be like talking to his girlfriend about like, oh hey, they told me about this at the show today, and I think it's fun. Like, I guess, but like
pretty hardcore on it, which is why I ended up.
That's like that's a little crazy.
I didn't realize like how intense it was, but I gave him the reins to everything, and yeah, it took longer than I thought. But I don't know. I mean, is there any like how else do I prove it? Besides, I mean, I think another thing that missing context people don't have is like if they found anything illegal, they're obligated to report it to the police. Like this like that's how these things work when they do these investigations. It's not like they could be like, hey Jimmy, we found this illegal thing. We'll just sweep it on the rug.
But it's all right because you paid us.
Yeah, like so it's just in every way. I just don't think people understand. Like it's it was obviously Quinn Emanuel. That's why we paid him, and it was pretty thorough. And
yeah. So I mean, those are two things that make.
He
sense.
goes over like
back-to-back things that make sense.
There's shit that like ties in with this.
Very reputable law firm, whatever, to investigate. Both of those things make sense logically from your perspective, but also optically from the outside looking in. For people who are just seeing the allegations, they're like, "Oh, this guy looks guilty."
Yeah.
He's building
Drink water.
Sort of law team, and he's not responding, and he's like it. So it's kind of bizarre and unfortunate because like it does make sense like from a logical perspective.
I mean, because there's two things I could do. I could do an internal investigation.
Yeah,
but that's
great
dumb
idea.
because I don't want to audit myself.
Let your mom do it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll let my mom do it, or I could do an external one. That's what we did. And again, it's like because I didn't have control over it. Obviously, if I did, I would have been like, bro, do this in 2 weeks so I can get this out there. Like I didn't want it to take months, but I mean that's part of an external investigation. You don't have control over it.
Now, would you consider? So you obviously regret the remaining silent. Would you consider that the third-party investigation as a whole, in looking back, would that have been? Would you say that's a mistake?
No, I just think I would push back on like, do I really have to be silent? Like, can I just like do this thing? Like go clap back on some of these things, but like some of these things, people were apparently talking to ex-employees or whatever, and so it just gets muddy because I really didn't want the integrity of the investigation to like be in question or anything. So I was like super paranoid where I was like, okay, this is what they said. I don't want to push back or anything, but yeah, obviously.
I mean, like somebody could have like
a lot of these things
made a doc like the Google Doc and just like posted that,
Would
but
you consider making some details of the investigation that have yet to be seen public? Obviously, there's like a level of confidentiality that is required legally.
Exactly, yeah.
But like, is there anything?
Well, that's the thing. Like, what we put out as much as we could, but I mean, obviously they did dozens of interviews, including alleged people who were victims, and I mean, like I said, my message to my girlfriend, like they gathered a lot. So I don't really think I can. I mean, there's a lot of sensitive data and information in there. You know?
What about like a just to back up your claims to their
Oh, but things on like how like they did it independently and they weren't biased. Like that's I mean. Yeah. I don't really know what people would want to see, but yeah, I mean, we can figure it out.
Just from what I know about like retainer contracts with lawyers and working with, you know, third-party investigations, things like which I don't have any experience with anything that big, obviously.
Yeah.
But maintaining a level of compliance, like, I mean, if there's like a retainer contract, something showing that, you know, you shouldn't.
Now, this is where I'm ignorant. Like, I don't even know really what a retainer contract is, but
I mean, like
if there's any way I could, of course.
Like your third party saying, Jimmy, don't talk. Like, just basically giving credence to what you're saying, even more
gotcha.
so, more evidence of what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, that would be something I'd have to like go talk to the team on. But,
yeah.
I mean,
that would help.
If that's something where people desperately want transparency, I mean, we can figure something out.
Yeah, that would just help me. I'm not sure if people, honestly, I don't know if people would give a fuck.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know either.
I would
because if people are like, we think Quinn Emanuel's biased, like even no matter what I show them, if they think a top tier law firm would willingly potentially tank their rep for me, like I don't know if there's anything that's ever
it's
to
foolish,
convince them.
right?
Yeah,
it is foolish, and it makes sense. But once again, it's like optically, there is a very easy. Lowest common denominator way to look at stuff.
Yeah. And also, what I would say to those people is I'm here, so it's not like I'm like maybe that argument would work if I just never did anything, but I'm here, so
in the lion's den.
Yes, controlled.
Well, another thing is like there was just stuff like continuously coming out. Like it didn't stop for like months. Like I want to say at least 3 months. There was just like nonstop like. This came out, like Dogpack released his first video that was 50 minutes long. Then he released his second video that was 50 minutes long. Then there was like a part 2.5, and then he was saying that, oh, I have a part 3. And then part 3 like was supposed to be after Jimmy's response, but as far as this response is concerned, I don't think Dogpack has much that he could really say, honestly. It's like they kind of ripped him a new one.
He's posting this chronologically or whatnot, but I mean, he also did interview Dogpack multiple times, so it's because I could have done this with anyone, but I think this one makes sense because you've literally had the other side on here. So
yeah, and also to be clear as well, I have not signed like an NDA or
fuck.
I mean, there's genuinely nothing that's been signed. You haven't given me.
Well, if you sign the NDA, the video can't come out.
Yeah,
I haven't given you a penny.
A penny. Okay, yeah.
You gave me $9.99.
Nothing. You've given me nothing, bro.
Yeah.
It's actually just it's kind of interesting. It really is interesting. This is a bold move. I would consider. It's quite a bold move.
And it's even more bold because I'm never vulnerable on camera and like.
Yes, it's from a lot of perspectives. It is quite bold, and it's not like I haven't been critical. I feel like I've been fairly critical. I feel, and like talking to you, I feel bad. You know, obviously because I'm a person. There's different levels to how much you care about shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is. If there were a testament, it would be that would be a testament to this being being a meaningful source of information. This video, I feel like. I hope.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is definitely outside my comfort zone, but I think it's important.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so that's kind of past like the main initial allegations. We can move on to sort of corporate culture and HR practices. That's been a big sort of point that a lot of critics have hammered home.
Yep.
And
we're just getting right into the hard info.
Hell yeah. So there have been a lot of questions about your workplace culture, such as a lack of diversity or also HR problems.
Yep.
Lack of diversity.
What have you done to address these concerns? How have you handled it since information?
This is actually the first time I'm catching that specifically.
We'll start with the diversity one. If I forget the HR one, just bring it up when I finish that one. Diversity, I have seen a lot of people mention that about our company, which, I mean, that one's just not even true. Like, I mean, Feastables, for example, a couple months old, but like almost 70% of our company is women. And we actually...
What about like other minorities and stuff? Like, what about black people? What about Hispanic people?
So, because, you know, we have 400 people that work for me. It's not just me and the boys on the camera, which is the 5 you see. So that one, the few people have claimed that like they don't have any data to back it up. So I guess I probably should have brought some data here. I don't want to just say percentages off the top of my head.
If you have, I'm sure you've got some kind of
but I really that one I just don't think it's rooted in anything. And then what was the second part?
HR, yeah. How have you handled HR problems? What HR problems?
Oh yeah, so that one, I mean, it's a little bit of a general question, but yeah, I mean, obviously, in general, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of things about
the fuck is he looking at
in my company, and I think one thing people don't have.
Is he looking at something?
I think they think my channel is just like 5 people or 10 people or 20, whatever. Like they don't realize the size of it. Like specifically because our videos have gotten so big. I mean,
come on, you motherfucker.
Range because depending on how many people we've hired in the last month, it's somewhere between like 250 or 300 people work at my.
I'm like locked in now.
Like this is a big company. There's a lot of people, and then on top of that, when we do like bigger videos where we need to build big sets or whatever, sometimes we bring in hundreds.
Like
of
I didn't get to
there's
watch.
a lot of people that work here, and like I just want to blanketly say, like companies at this size, like you can't
It's
ever
more
guarantee that
listening.
every interaction everyone's going to have is always going to be positive with each other. You know what I mean? That's just impossible. So I want to start off by just saying that, because I don't want people to watch this and then like a year from now, like hear some rumor and be like, oh, Jimmy didn't learn. Like any company of this size, there's always going to be some problem someone has. Now, having said that, I'm not.
I can attest to this. Working in a factory, but like in general, working conditions about 8 times out of 10, HR is not gonna give a single fuck about you as a person. Like, I mean, you might get the occasional like someone gets written up or something, but like, I mean, I don't know, cause like I guess it depends on the scenario that you're in, cause like I'm having problems with people that I work with, and like I would like to transfer to a different area in the building or to a different building or like something along those lines, right? And like they just refuse to do it because I have a write up because I was late to work one day. So like they're basically like forcing me to deal with these people that are giving me problems, and like will not do anything to like help me out, even though I'm like begging them basically like, hey, this isn't working, like I need to do something different, like these people are getting on my nerves, and they just like they won't do nothing about it. So like, yes, in big places like this, a lot of times HR is not going to be able to take care of everything, A, immediately, and B, how you want it to be handled, because obviously they have to like consider both sides of the scenario, and then like ask the other person, and like it's a whole thing, and like generally they're going to do the absolute bare minimum to do anything about it. So
I'm not trying to use it as like a blanket of like, see, and shield myself. There are two things that are like someone in my position who runs a company like this is in control of. One is, making sure we're not fostering anything.
like Miss Jimmy here is just straight up too busy to be able to be around enough to see like every single thing that's going on, every instance where there's like an HR problem. Like he's not going to be able to be there to see that. So like, to put it into perspective, like the company that I work for, there's multiple different facilities across the United States. So like the CEO, so like the Jimmy of the company that I work for, you're never gonna see them. Like it's actually like crazy that Jimmy makes the time to be around as much as he does, because again, like he's got so many different things going on in the background. It's like almost impossible for him to even be around in the first place. So like that's something that like he needs to figure out internally, like hiring new HR people, like trying to figure out where everything is spawning from and stuff, like
inappropriate and
Right.
allowing it. And then two,
he can't control it.
in a company
Like-
my size. And I'm trying to be transparent here. Like it's how do you respond to it? And then like and the making sure you're not fostering it. Part of Quinn Emanuel, when we had them do their investigation, is I had them look at every system in my company. I had them talk to my employees, and if see if there's anything they could bring to Quinn Emanuel's attention that they could make me aware of. And like I think it was in the report. It's like,
I'm gonna have to go get more water at some point.
Quinn Emanuel showed me data that like sometimes people don't feel comfortable talking to HR or their boss, and like if you have an anonymous hotline that goes to someone outside the company that can hear a complaint and then beam it into you without disclosing who it was, like you'll get more honest feedback, because there's like, so they showed us a lot of things like that. Also making sure we're not fostering it. Like I think it's also in there as well. We leveled up like our C-suite, because I've had a lot of people that have grown with me, but like me, they've never ran a company that has hundreds of employees before. So I actually just hired a couple people who have worked on Fortune 500 companies who have actually ran companies of this size before. And so, they've shown me lots of things that bigger companies do that obviously I'm just ignorant on because I'm a YouTuber. You know what I mean? I spend my life staring at retention charts and CTR, not how to structure a business. So just that's phase one, is making sure you're not fostering, a culture that supports that stuff. And then inevitably, like I said, you can't ever guarantee when you're working with hundreds of people full time. And then when you add part-time people, potentially over 1,000 sometimes, you just got to make sure if there are issues that, actual real issues, like if someone complains because someone peed on a toilet seat, like I'm not, oh well. But if there's an actual serious issue, then, we'll bring in professionals who experience in, getting down to it, interview them, gather the information. I'll recuse myself. I don't want to be the arbiter of truth. And then, those experts who are experienced in handling those things, they'll tell me how to handle it. If they tell me to fire someone, I fire them. If they tell me to whatever, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the one who makes those decisions. So, and transparency, that's kind of,
So I think this is
Sort of irresponsible, but I mean,
type of thing, don't really
bring in
understand
professionals.
That HR is a real living and breathing organism in business.
Yeah,
And
turn the
don't
fan
mean
off. Hold
it to
on.
become a problem for a normal business, but when
Getting chilly. Getting some goosebumps. All right, that should be good.
when your business is someone like you whose reputation is on the line. I also have like a bunch of businesses. I've got 60 employees, and we have an HR department. And like something happens once a month where someone gets an anonymous report, and then we have to solve that problem, and then we actually.
You're evil.
Yeah, and that's that's how it feels sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm not involved obviously in that stuff, and my YouTube side is very compartmentalized. So the way that I do that, it makes sense to me. I want to be as detached as much as possible from the day-to-day operations of like the actual business. You're saying you're running the company. Is there a world in which what is your job title? Is there a world in which you step back and you are just like not an actor necessarily, but you're the guy, you're Mr. Beast, and you let the business be operated by an entity.
The fuck does this have to do with anything?
Instead of being at the head of it.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it's my channel, it's my company, so I wouldn't take it that far. I think like the big thing is just bringing in people who have actually ran a company at this size before, because eventually I will be more educated and knowledgeable. Like every day, I'm learning more on like how to properly run a company with hundreds of people and better do it. But I'm still very ignorant. Like I probably crossed 100 employees like 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, but it's still just growing. So like, because across everything, if you include Feastables and ViewStats, we have over 400 employees. So it's a learning thing. But that's the thing. While I'm learning, I need to bring in people who have been there and learn from them.
Yeah, because there's no replacement for just experience, right?
Exactly.
Like, you can be as smart as anybody, but if you haven't been able to go through the things you've gone through and like things just personally that I know that I've gone through and learned from business, it's not possible to know. It's not possible to know how to react to those things or. That's why I sort of try to do my best to compartmentalize my business. Obviously, different beast than what you're operating. But it's just, it's.
No, I can also add to this because I can't remember which podcast it was. Can't remember if it was the one with Cooper or if it was the one with what's his name? The one C Boys TV podcast, Life Wide Open, or whatever it's called. Garrett, which is Cletus McFarlane, he's one of the YouTubers that I watch a lot. He had mentioned about his mentor. His name is Alan, and basically like the whole business experience thing, like. He said, like, you could learn about business, yeah, but, like, a lot of the, like, intricate details about it, like, you're not going to learn that unless you, like, actually are into business and, like, do it for a specific amount of time. Like, I don't know because I'm not into it, but, like, it makes sense. Like, when I went to school for welding, like, yeah, you could learn how to weld from a textbook, but, like, there's certain little things that, like, you're only gonna be able to pick up on when you do something, like, in real life. So, like, I agree with this, and
It's just,
like I said, that's just something I can add.
Makes sense, and you've used the word ignorant a couple times.
Real life experience always prevails over book smarts.
A lot of changes, obviously. Anonymous reporting is the biggest one for HR.
Yeah.
That's like
and it's like that's one of those things where like it's not like I was like, oh, we don't need. I just didn't know. Like I'd never seen the data they showed me, and like if any other people have this kind of stuff, like I'm always open to learning.
Of course, yeah. And I think the most important thing too is like at the end of the day, you've got the most to gain from all this.
Exactly. I want my employees happy. I gain nothing out of them not being happy. Like it hurts me. It's like I have a monetarily incentivization to do this kind of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like the criticism of entities like yours and even mine, with truth.
I wish my boss had that fucking outlook.
A real basis of rationale that makes sense, that's centered in reality.
Yeah.
I feel like that's super important because once again, you have so much to gain, and like you spend less, you make a little bit less money, but your employees are substantially happier and they feel, safer or just more confident in you as their leader or their boss. So it's like it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how all this kind of goes from here after this one, especially.
Yeah,
because this is a big moment.
I know the interview, the day of the interview.
But that makes sense though. I mean, and like I don't want to continuously interject my own business experience, but I think it does set me apart from other YouTubers who are involved in this, in that I do have business experience. From it's sort of the same thing. I just fell into running actual businesses and having to do payroll and HR, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
I had no idea any of this stuff existed, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get fucked.
And this is the problem with a lot of these YouTubers trying to like start businesses and shit. Like they don't know. Cause like they never, like a lot of them never really did anything in real life. Like they started getting their traction on YouTube like when they were in their teenage years, or like they just never really pursued anything out of high school and just figured this out and didn't really have the regular job, the working class job, to like where you have to learn about this type of stuff. So like that's why like I want to like
and some people have
add to it because like
did you personally at the time even consider that
having this
and
experience?
Also acknowledge that is a conflict of interest.
Oh, I agree. That's a dumb thing to do.
Yeah.
I do think context matters though, because
All right, we're switching over to the eggnog.
We're gonna talk about is like people conflate current Mr. Beast with 400 employees and spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year with Mr. Beast when he's a teenager and starting. I mean,
love
when I
eggnog.
first started hiring people, it was like, oh, we went to high school together. You want to help me make videos? And I hired a couple of my friends from high school. So, and then I was like, how do I do taxes and this kind of stuff? And I was like, Mom, help. And so, I mean, I wouldn't say she was head of HR. I mean, she was, I guess, but she was also running finance, and it's not like a real company. We just get in this like little $700 no, actually that one was $1,080 a month office I was renting, and I'd just be like to this one guy that I knew from high school, all right, today you're gonna go paint this thing. Today, you friend number 2, you're gonna like help me edit this, and you friend number 3, you're gonna go to the store and buy 1,000 chickens that like scream when you press down on them. And Mom, I don't know, just make sure the iOS doesn't sue me. Like that's the time frame we're talking about here. But yeah.
It's like the same thing as if like with my friends, like I paid a couple of my friends to help me move. Like same shit.
Yes, I agree. Like it's stupid. Like you definitely shouldn't have your mom as an HR person. You should just hire someone who was educated in HR.
At that size, it's not HR.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think, and that's sort of like one of the weird things.
It's like 5 people. Just figure it the fuck out yourself.
It becomes HR by default.
It's not that hard.
Well, this is the HR person. This is our
I
contact.
mean, because like back then, it's like, I mean, you got a problem, just tell me. There's like 5 of us. So,
Exactly.
But yes, but still, I'm like, in this, I'm not trying to like deflect everything. Like, I mean, yes, obviously you should hire an actual HR person. Agreed.
That's good advice.
Yes.
That sounds good. I do agree with that.
Shocker.
Yeah, crazy. The no doesn't mean no policy.
I say like, no, I don't know how it works with like YouTube channels and stuff, but like, I would say if like whenever you get to the point of like, how do I want to? I don't know if this is like state, like if the states are different with how they do this stuff, but like a friend of mine started a business and it's an LLC, which is like a liability, like insurance sort of deal or whatever. I'm not entirely educated on the whole stuff. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I am, but like I'll give what at least I understand it as. So it's like a limited insurance thing to like basically just get them by. But like once you get to the point of like creating even an LLC, which is I'm pretty sure like the lower level of a business that you can create, if you get to like that level, then I think like HR should be brought into the picture. Like especially if you do have employees. I mean, like they kind of do it differently. Like he's like kind of the only employee. Like I do work over there every once in a while, like for a side thing, but like he doesn't have any employees to like manage, to like have a human resource person there to like take care of these people. So like in let's say Jimmy's situation here, like with a YouTube channel, if you're gonna have like people in the same roof, or like having people work at the same place at the same on the same thing at the same time, I would say like maybe 10 or so, you'd start to maybe want to consider bringing in somebody external to handle shit like that. Like I don't know, I'm looking at it from the outside, and like I feel like personally 10 people would be too much for me like me myself to handle. So that's where I would personally draw the line of like bringing somebody else in.
That was criticized. That was crazy. I mean, when I first saw that, I was like, "What the fuck?"
Well, you're answering for me. Let me answer.
I'm like,
It was criticized.
I don't know. What do I know?
Especially by Soggy recently of having been taken out of context. Can you explain what the no doesn't mean no policy was and why it was in the?
Yes. So yeah. So it's funny.
This was
the word,
crazy.
like, policy. It's like,
But
so when we started hiring more people.
For like at first glance it looks bad, but it's literally just like, see if there's something you can do, like add a little incentive to say yes, sort of. So like he'll explain it. He'll explain.
Wrote this little, I almost like advice book just for a lot of employees, because I wasn't able to talk with people as much as I was early on. And one part of it that people, when this thing got leaked, and I wrote it with some other people in my company, it wasn't just me, but
Was this document that got leaked is crazy. Like there's really, 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 really good advice in there for making some like good YouTube videos, honestly. I do have to say.
When this got leaked, there's a section that said no does not mean no, and then they just like crop that out, and they're like, look, this is proof Jimmy's immoral and evil. When obviously, like you were saying, if you read the context below, it makes sense. The gist of why we had a section that said no does not mean no is because we do, I don't know if anyone's ever seen our videos, crazy things that have never been done before, right? No one's ever, on YouTube at least, buried themselves alive for 7 days. No one like tries to dangle an obstacle course from cranes.
I don't believe that.
The problem I kept running into early on when I was hiring people is I'd be like, hey, I want to do this. And then they would go call someone. So like, let's say the obstacle course in this.
I also have another video discrepancy that I want to talk about a little bit later, but we'll get into that.
Guy where we had like these obstacle courses that Mac did, held up by these cranes, weighed like 100,000 pounds or whatever. Like they would call crane companies and they'd be like, no. And then
here's that explanation I was talking about.
They said, no, we can't do it. The video's not possible. And it's like, okay, well, of course they're going to say no, because everything we do has never been done before. But like, ask them why. And like, obviously, if they don't be rude, but if they say no, just try to understand why, right? And a lot of times you'll have an instance where like, well, we can't get all the cranes at one time because we're renting them out. And it's like, okay, perfect. We respect that, but can I offer something before you actually hard say no? What if we went to the 2 or 3 other clients that day that rented the cranes, we paid them 5 times the amount of money they paid to rent those cranes to just, rent them a week later, and let's just see. And then the company would usually be like, oh, you would do that? It's like, yeah, like we want to work with you to find a solution to make your problem our problem and solve it. And then like, then a hard no will 50% of the time turn into, oh, well, yeah, actually we can do it if you're willing to spend a little extra money or whatever. So that was me trying to educate my employees on that. And somehow, well, I don't know, I'm not even gonna say somehow, I know how. I mean, people who didn't care about the truth and just, wanted to spread disinformation and manipulate and lie to millions of people, which it worked, spun that into, I mean, I'm not even gonna state the obvious, but
guilty,
which made no sense because the
guilty as charged
right below it. But I mean, that just shows the ill will intent of certain people.
Yeah, because no doesn't mean no. I mean, that is like, there's just a massive, heavy negative connotation with that, obviously, in the zeitgeist. So, yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense in a vacuum, or, with this context, it does make perfect sense, but you got to see, if I were to be like, yeah, this guy, Mr. Beast, is getting canceled for all kinds of crazy shit, he has a no doesn't mean no policy. Anyways, like, that's crazy.
I know.
That's fucking
And you should
insane.
throw it on screen so your viewers can
so they can actually see the
so you
full
can see
thing,
the context, because it clearly lays it out. So no one actually saw that and thought what these channels were implying.
Yeah.
They just willfully were ignorant so they could get 1 out of 10s and make some money. I mean, that's the truth. Like, I'm sorry, but
Now on to sort of content production and the question of authenticity behind the content that you make.
Here we go.
There have been claims that you use some CGI in your videos, that is computer-generated imagery. Do you think the use of CGI can undermine the credibility or authenticity of the content that you're making?
Yes.
And if so, why do you choose to use it?
Good question. And yes, I do think rampant use of CGI can undermine it. And I try to do my best to be transparent. Did you ever see So Crispy's video where they showed the behind the scenes of our Squid Game video?
I did, yes.
Yeah, so we've done that. We've done lots of BTS videos on them, and we've done other BTS videos. So I try to show it transparently, but let me think about it. I mean, honestly, the truth is, like, can you, obviously there are channels like Corridor Digital and stuff like that, but can you really think of any, like, entertainment channels like mine that really do this, like even have the budgets to kind of do this kind of stuff? It's something I've always thought a lot about, because like we're really pushing boundaries.
Do
like,
they
I
show
love to, like, keep leveling things up, and I think that's a cool way to do it. But it's not like there's some like playbook on how to like
Like
incorporate
the
it, right? 'Cause no one
examples
else really does
is
it.
the question.
Like, something I was thinking about is like also we rarely use it. Like, I mean, maybe like 0.5%, 0.1% of my shots. Like if we have like a background that like doesn't look too cool, like it's just like,
I really don't think that I'm gonna have the time to be able to go through that document tonight.
Majority of what we do, or sometimes we'll extend a set. But I was thinking, like, when we do, because we pour millions of dollars into these videos. We build massive sets. Like we go through so much links to make these huge videos, and the last thing I want is people to be like questioning whether or not things are CGI. I mean, like, the sets we build are fucking crazy, man. Like, it's wild. Like, you should come see the like behind the scenes of it. I mean, sometimes we spend 100 days just literally building one room for one shot of one video.
That's insane.
So yeah, I was thinking like maybe just potentially, I don't know, this is the first time I'm saying it publicly, like timestamping in the description when we do.
That's interesting.
Yeah, or like having some like gimmicky thing where like whenever we do, we like put like a little beast logo on it, so it's like a thing that if people wanted to identify, they could. I mean, I'm down to figure something out. I mean, we just don't really use it that much. It's just like a thing few and far between. But what I really don't want is people to not be able to trust my video.
Maybe like just put like a little thing in the bottom of the screen where it says like this scene uses like some CGI to enhance visual experience, or like something fucking stupid like that. Like that'd work, I guess. Like
Videos, just because occasionally I want to make a wall blacker. Or
that'd be fine in my eyes.
Just to make it look cooler, like you feel in tune with it. Because what we do on its own is insane. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to be fair too, I totally get what you're saying, and like the logic for the CGI call doesn't really make a lot of sense to me personally. To me, maybe it would undermine the credibility if you're like changing things genuinely, or like you have an outcome that's the thumbnail and you're only getting it by manipulating. But like there are times in my videos where my head is bigger than my head in real life because my editors make it bigger. That's CGI, right? Yeah. The words, the subtitles in your video, they're not real. That's CGI, technically.
True. Yeah.
So it's like,
you don't claim that they are though. Like that's sort of like why people are like on his case about it. Which, I mean, half of this shit so far, like, I haven't even cared about. Like, honestly, there's timestamps down here. Being silent, didn't care because, like, lawyers. Delaware, yeah, I have a lot more questions about this. Like, that's fucked up. The investigation bias, dude, like, get over yourself. HR problems, yeah, a little bit of an issue, but like I'm pretty sure we've gone over the fact that he's doing what he can to bring people in to figure out the HR problems and everything. No, it doesn't mean no policy. We figured that out. The CGI hospital, I don't know anything about, but here's like the list of all of the shit that he's been accused of. But let's get back to it.
So it's just that one's like a really sort of slippery slope. But I think that's a good idea. If you were to put timestamps, or if you sort of are transparent about AI generative content, that's something that you could do as the biggest content creator in the world to be even more ethical than is really necessary.
Yeah. The only thing is then, which I'm down. Like I want to keep brainstorming these things out. It's just like you said, like I in my head I didn't even think of text on the bottom as CGI, and like everyone might have a little different definition of it. So I just want to make sure like what I would classify as it. Like, and so, but agree, there's some solution here, or just stop using it. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, I mean, we build crazy sets. It's usually just to make them look 1% cooler.
You can figure it out.
Yeah. So there is some answer here. Like, that's not a thing that scares me. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah. I think people would appreciate the transparency on that.
I mean,
as well, like, because it's, they're reality
I
television.
don't really have to do all that.
Extremely manipulative, and I think that's like the basis of it. So if you were to sort of go above and beyond,
like some of this shit's like cringe, but like
that you don't even really have on YouTube,
if it's like extending the set or whatever, like you said.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think that'd be sort of epic. pandemic. There was an allegation that you used CGI to create the impression that you guys built a hospital, part of a hospital, in order to deceive viewers or, you know.
I didn't see or know about this at all.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. Honestly, truthful, dumb mistake. At the start of one of our Beast Philanthropy videos, they were trying to show what this like building looked like in the past, and in the past that hospital wasn't there, so they removed it in the editing. Which and this is just like a small part of it. This isn't even like the point of the video wasn't that we built this hospital or whatever. There was just a shot at the beginning, but some people saw that and like thought we did build it, which is not the intention, and so it's just a dumb mistake. Like trust me, when I saw that, I talked to the editors. I was like, come on, like. You know, I have 100 editors, and obviously we have a bunch of different channels and things like that. So it's hard for me to like speak with all of them, but it was just truthfully a silly mistake. We never said we built that hospital or anything, but I could see how some people might perceive that we were trying to like give off that we were. And it's a little unfortunate because Beast Philanthropy, my YouTube
Yeah, I have like no comment on this because I know nothing about it.
Is literally owned by a 501c3. Like it's a YouTube channel that is a nonprofit, which is crazy. Like as far as I know, that's the only one. And Beast Philanthropy does so much good, and like that. You know what's the only reason people, this is what's funny, because like to the people like trying to call me evil and say we fake philanthropy, the only reason anyone even knows any of this is because we actually did a behind the scenes video on that video. So like clearly I wasn't aware of this because we did BTS and we were the ones who revealed this information. You know what I mean? So like if we were trying to hide things, like we wouldn't have done BTS on that video. That's how people got this information. So it's just like a little mistake, but it's sad because now people are using that to point at our Beast Philanthropy channel, which does a lot. I mean, we'll just scroll through the videos. I mean, whether we're building schools in Africa or, I mean, and giving electricity to remote villages, or we're giving clothes to people who don't have it, or we're feeding people. I mean, it does a lot of really good projects now.
A lot of people are also like, hold on, I think I got a burp. All right, it's stuck. It don't want to come out. But like, everybody's like, oh, fucking rich white guy coming in here, fucking big dick in the locker room. Got the burp out. Like, they're like, who fucking care? Like, who care? Like, who fucking cares? Like, let them fucking help people. Like, why do you gotta fucking like, who fucking cares? Just let them help. The fuck?
Truthfully, that channel is struggling to get brand deals because of all the slander on it, because everyone, you know, has convinced advertisers that the videos are fake.
Like, this is sad.
Philanthropy, and it's like, it does. And just like one little editing mistake on one of dozens of videos. Like, I mean, it's unfortunate because it's actually having a pretty severe impact on the charity and its image. And like, I don't know, just unfortunate.
And you think the impact is not obviously just the CGI hospital edit, but just the entire situation in general?
No, I mean, of course, the entire general situation, but no, after that hospital thing, a lot of people made videos saying Beast Philanthropy is fake and saying we fake our philanthropy and specifically attacking it. And then, you know, like that whole 100% of the revenue on the charity on the channel is what we use.
I'll have to like watch that to see like
a lot of people because they're like, oh, so this charity's not authentic, because like obviously people don't want to work with the charity that's
if there's like any sort of like real possible way to say that they built it.
There's just a mistake in editing. Doesn't discredit all the projects Beast Philanthropy has done around the world and the tens of thousands of lives it's changed. And I mean, yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair admission too, because it's like, you know, and once again, optically, you're the guy who's talking about, you know, spending 26 hours a day looking at data, and you know every decision, every single frame that's in a video is like combed over, and then that is a mistake, obviously, that you're capable of making, your team is capable of making, and like the whole thing is capable of making, and people, you know, they'll compare and contrast whether they know or not. Like they think everything you're doing is 110% deliberate.
Yeah, well, that's the unfortunate part, because like if someone, again, just to be clear, the only reason anyone even knows is because we did BTS. So I mean,
I know what it's like having people think that you're just doing shit intentionally.
And YouTube editor and just like added a voiceover, and it would have been fine. It's just now that, you know,
not that all too well.
Like we finally got the proof. The philanthropy's fake. He's fake, and like let's tear down his charity. And yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's just a silly editing mistake. Like the VO we should just had VO over that clip just saying we didn't build this hospital. But it was also not even the whole point of the video. It's just like if you watch it, it's just a clip at the start. It's literally not even what the video's about. So
you mentioned the behind the scenes footage of that, specifically the hospital video in regard to your philanthropy channel. Would you be willing to or consider releasing like more detailed behind the scenes footage or a breakdown of that with the VO you're talking about or the editors who worked on it and sort of their thoughts and opinions or whatever, because they're the ones working on it, right? Like, what
On
was
that
their
video
intention?
specifically?
Yeah, or just in general.
Yeah, well, that one in specifically. I mean, we're owning up to it. I mean, I don't want to put them on blast publicly. Like, it was a silly little mistake. Obviously, we talked about how we could prevent it in the future, but I'm sure, shocker, at some point we're gonna have some other editing mishap over.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not something I can't guarantee will ever happen again. But like, we're doing.
People
we're
are
doing our
humans.
best to make
People
sure
make
that,
mistakes.
But in general, I would love to
Happens.
do more behind the scenes. Like, I think throughout all this, I think what is causing some of this is like confusion is because there is so much mystery around how we do our videos because people don't know how we do it. It's like it's almost easier to believe there is this like they're fake or this they're rigged and he didn't actually build a bunker and put it underground and have 2 people live in it for 100 days and record the entire time and do all this. It's almost getting to the point where it's easier to believe it's not real. And I think like just having more transparency and doing behind the scenes would help. I've been wanting to do that for a little bit. It's just truthfully I just got to build the team. I was we're looking into getting some editors and like a person dedicated for doing it, like because we have to like intentionally film those shots.
Right.
A lot of it is like so we're like building out the team. It's just like it just takes time. Like you need someone who will make the thumbnails for it, and like I also don't want there to be editing mistakes in this, so I need someone who's doing QC, and that's like a really important thing because I don't want them to post it and make a claim in the BTS that's not true and say, hey, we spent $500,000 on this bunker. And it was actually $480,000, right?
Yeah.
Which is these are the little kinds of things that because I have such a large company, people will do, and they think it's innocent, but it's like no, like. But at the end of the day, it's my.
Like, you're gonna like all these people that are like making all these claims are gonna sit here and really act like they've never like bought something. Like, I don't know, say they bought the new fucking iPhone 46 that's coming out in the next 2 weeks or whatever, because Apple drops a new phone every week. Say, like, it's $1,460, right? You're gonna sit here and tell me that like people aren't gonna walk around saying it's a $1,500 phone. You're gonna really sit here and tell me that?
My name on it, and so it's like in theory it seems simple, like oh you're already filming, just throw a BTS, but there's a whole big process in it to make sure that's also true and authentic. And
that's all I have to say on that.
And so I mean I don't know when I'll be able to build out the team and get it right, but I think that will help a lot if people knew like the effort and work that went into the videos and like just how we do it. I think they would look at it differently and be like, oh okay, I see.
Yeah, and I think to circle back a little bit, I don't think even showing the in behind the scenes, like if that were to have existed specifically with like the philanthropy stuff or another time where you're adding CGI or whatever, if you had the intention of the people who are doing it in that behind the scenes footage, it wouldn't be necessarily even putting them on blast or showing any mistake you would have from the very beginning. Transparency.
Yeah,
it's literally just like it just sounds better. It rolls off the tongue better. Like 500K just sounds a lot better than 480. Like, who fucking cares? Like, what about okay? Like they only paid $480,000 for the bunker. What about the fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're paying the employees? Like, not thinking about that, are
So I
we?
think that would be. I mean, that would
I'm
be
on
awesome.
the same page here. Hey, if anyone watching this wants to help work on my BTS channel, I'm actually serious. We're actively hiring and trying to figure it out. So I mean,
Yeah.
I really think that would.
Should we go to North Carolina?
Yeah.
Plus, I just want to show people how we do this stuff. Like, it's pretty crazy the stuff we're doing now.
I mean, realistically, it sounds like.
Do I take the money in my bank account and just run?
You have the opportunity now to just be like super ethical and
Just show up at
hire
the
more teams for transparency and do something that not only
Mr. Beast studio and be like,
you are leaps and
I abandoned my life.
leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else.
I need a job.
Transparency.
Yeah.
Which people really like that type of stuff. Even if they don't like search out for it, they just.
I will do anything you want and not be a bitch like Jake Weddle.
I agree.
And like you guys are really good at this insane Mr. Beast thing, but like you said, even with sort of talking about the allegations. And
Though I will not run
even wanna
a
make video where
marathon.
you're sitting, it just feels cringe and awkward.
oh, no.
Like but it makes sense, right? Like I get your perspective and the outsider's perspective. It's cool to see, how. It's not cool to see how angry people can get, but it is cool to see that there is a possible answer to those situations, like being super ethical and transparent in a way that nobody else has ever been before.
agree.
Yeah, I feel like you could probably do that. So there's evidence that you put your previous employees, friends, whatever, controlled opposition
Yes.
In your challenge videos, such as the 100 boys versus 100 girls video.
Yeah.
Did you put them in that video or videos like that specifically to rig the outcome
Of the challenge.
of the challenge? And if so,
No, this is like,
Mr. Beast.
I know. That one was a big one. Videos talking about my 100 boys versus 100 girls video.
I see where people are concerned, but I don't really care.
Really talk about that.
'Cause
So yes,
I look at it through the lens of it's a YouTube video. Like, how many other creators like do videos where there's like a prize, but like they stage it to where like a specific person wins or something? Like, there's just too many examples of this like existing elsewhere to like be able to solely hate him for it.
Sagi's video, he talked about this and uncovered it. I'm surprised more people didn't. Like, my girlfriend after that video literally went on a podcast and described this. So it's not
Like, a
just
lot of
information
YouTube
that's
videos are
out there.
scripted. TV is scripted half of the
100
time.
girls versus 100 boys for $500,000.
Yes. On the day, everybody had to go for COVID tests, and a lot of people came, got their COVID tests, and they tested positive. And the girls somehow ended up with way too little contestants. So I got a call randomly from the studio, and they're like, "We need a female." I'm like, "Well, I am a female. I guess I could do this 100 hours."
I am a female. No fucking shit.
And did the others know you were dating Mr. Beast at the time?
They pretended that they didn't, but I think some of them caught on.
Did he like move to the side of the circle and just check
No,
up on
he
you?
avoided eye contact at all costs.
But I mean, literally, like she said on the podcast, we had 100 boys, 100 girls. They're competing in a video. Leading up to the video, they're supposed to quarantine. This was
Here's one for you. Like, say they knew about the fucking like the Squid Game cookie test or whatever, the challenge. That doesn't mean that they're gonna necessarily fucking A, get like the easy cookie for one, or B, that's not necessarily saying that they're not gonna fuck it up. Like, just because they're employees doesn't mean that they're like that much more skilled or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just pulling someone from behind a fucking desk and slamming them in the video isn't gonna like turn the fucking whole event around. Like, it's not gonna make it like they're not rigging it like that. Like,
years
so many people went, like, they just went to such lengths.
ago when, at the height of COVID, a lot of questions people have about my videos, like that in these recent things I've noticed, usually the answer is like COVID, like why things aren't as like we would normally do it. But in this instance, they quarantined when they showed up to the studio. A couple people on both sides tested positive for COVID. We didn't have them all in a group. We, isolated, tested. And so now I'm stuck with a tough decision because we have all these people who just took off work for a week and took even more days off work to film this video. A couple people on each side of the 100 girls, 100 boys tested positive for COVID. I can't go grab random people off the street because they haven't quarantined, right? And back then, I think COVID tests are better now, but back then, it took like 2 days for the COVID test to be able to pick up whether or not you had COVID, something like that. Not a doctor. This isn't Joe Rogan. Bro, no one knows that though, right? I could have just gone and grabbed random people off the street and it would have been fine. But I was trying to like be protective of the contestants. So my employees were routinely quarantining back then because, in the studio and things like that, we didn't want an outbreak. So I just went to the employees who weren't working on the 100 girls versus 100 boys video and was like, hey, I don't want to cancel this video. Who wants to be in it? And so a couple of them volunteered, filled in the empty gaps. My girlfriend quarantined with me, so I threw her in there. And then we got the numbers up. I was good, the video's on. And yeah, they were competing for money like everyone else.
That's fair.
Transparency. I'll look at the camera. No, they were not there to rig it. I did not tell them what to get out. I did not tell them what to do. They had their own free will. And I really didn't think too much of it. And here we are a couple years later, and that's turning into proof that
I don't get sick from this eggnog.
Script them, and they're just filling.
I love it so much, but
Yeah, I think it's another situation in which it's like, sure, there's
Too thick.
There's evidence or whatever of both or whatever. It's like a trust me bro versus a trust me
But
bro.
this one's not even a trust me, bro. Like, I mean, my girlfriend literally years ago said on a podcast, all
Getting
it's not
stuck
even
in
like
my
I'm trying to
mustache.
stuff. I mean,
Right.
I could probably go pull up COVID tests.
can't wait to
Yeah.
shave. No shave November is why I look like I'm homeless.
What people have for that specific event.
Also need a haircut.
Someone like you or someone with this big thing, people just see who they don't care. They see, oh, he's using his friends. Like, obviously it's fucking rigged, But they're not gonna look into it. It's just optically, Like, there's so many things that it's really easy. Like, there's like a
Not even his friends though. They're fucking employees.
Well, and it's like the thing is, I mean, I could have been like, oh, people got COVID and canceled it. And then we'd be sitting here talking about how I had these people quarantined for 7 days and then I just rug pulled them. You know what I mean? And so like
Another
it's a
fair
little bit of
point.
Damned if you don't. Like either way, I'd be sitting here talking to you about it. You know, so I just tried to take the most ethical, moral stance and, you know, prioritize health. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you, not, well, hopefully.
We're
not
going
you're
Sigma
really
stance. I
well,
don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's been brutal hearing that misinformation be spread.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine that, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of people who really do not like you at all.
Yeah.
How does it feel in real life? Do you feel it in real life at all, or is it just internet?
No, it's just the internet. We talked a little bit before this. I mean, also,
Figured
Slater,
that.
I just flew here to do this. This is a very impromptu thing.
Yeah.
But for like the 10 minutes we were talking before we started recording, I was telling him like, no one in real life has any idea of any of this. Like, I meet hundreds of people and they're all just like, yo, what's up, Mr. Beast? They never bring it up.
Yeah.
And then you would open up Reddit. I mean, it doesn't help that they're censoring positive posts, but and you would think, well, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, that does make sense. You would think everyone hates me because anyone who does it, their post gets deleted. So actually, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's like, and even some of the YouTubers that I know, like you mentioned sending a clip to YouTubers, and they're like, well, it's just not cool. I don't want to be seen as a Mr. Beast glazer. I mean, even the sort of feelings amongst YouTubers, the people who their responsibility is to, well, responsibility, very loose use of the term, to talk about anything online or whatever, you know, even they're afraid or they just don't want, like, so it's just the internet. There's this really weird, you know, the sort of echo chamber. Not that obviously everything that you've done is can just be swept under the rug. I mean, you've admitted to mistakes. I think that everything that is a genuine mistake, you once again have the most to gain from all this. So it's not gonna fucking hurt you to just admit where you're wrong or whatever. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting one, the 100 boys versus 100 girls video, because to me, without looking into it at all, it's like that does seem weird, right? Like it just seems like once again a conflict of interest. But at the same time, you're making YouTube videos. You're not making like, I don't know. You can endlessly make excuses for it and against it. It seems like that's why I'm saying it's kind of.
I mean, I think between like the contestants and people we've given stuff to in videos, like pretty confidently say like less than 1% of it's employees. So you know, if you were to take everyone who's ever
that
like,
too.
we're like, and a lot of it was like I said during the COVID time, where it's just like, well, I'm trying to be responsible, and I know so it's like, I mean, I think when you look at it through those lenses, I feel like any rational person would be like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah. Okay, so now on to the response to critics. So the first person really to respond to critics was Chucky. But the second person, it seemed like, was Soggy Cereal, YouTuber, commentary YouTuber. And he made a video, and he's been, you know, that video is sort of blowing up a little bit. It's not quite to the level of Dogpack's video when it first came out, but it's, you know, it's coming up, and he did his best to disprove a lot of Dogpack's claims, and even held you accountable for a lot of stuff in his video. Which I thought was good. I thought his video was pretty good. I liked his video a lot, and I like him a lot. I've talked to him since that came out. I've talked to him a couple times. Yeah, he is criticized.
I did watch that.
Today.
It's okay.
I think, you know, to sort of timestamp when this video.
Well, he debunks everything basically.
He's criticized you sharing his video with other YouTubers as a way to shield yourself from criticism. You know, like deeming the video to people. He also expressed feeling used by you, given that you used his video as a strategy to gather favor from the public. Which, you know, that's pretty wordy. It's like it just happened today. Today, it's got to be something like, how do you feel about him feeling that way? Because he's not really defending you. He's more so trying to hold like the truth, which I appreciate that massively.
Yeah.
And I do, you know, talking to him, I do believe that he is an honest guy. Yeah. How do you interpret his responses on Twitter if you've seen them? Have you seen them?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Okay.
I mean,
His criticisms are bullshit though.
And just expressing how he feels, and I think, you know, it.
Like he's complaining about some like
in his head,
really dumb shit.
Why don't you just say these things? Why am I saying it? You know, and I think obviously now that I'm here and doing this, that will alleviate it. But I can see how it feels. Like obviously I saw that video and it, you know, disproved. I mean, there are some things in there I don't agree with, and he does go pretty hard on me, so which people seem to forget. But there are a lot of things in there that he disproved, and yeah, I mean, I got excited and shot it over to a bunch of creators who covered the false information, and was just like, look, you know, I could see how, you know, that looks like I'm hiding behind it. Luckily, I'm here talking to you, so I don't think that'll be a problem anymore. But obviously, you know, he's not, when he tweeted that, he, you know, doesn't know we were doing this, doesn't know this is coming out. I mean, he might now. I don't, you know, you talk to him, but yeah. So like, I don't blame him. You know what I mean? It's a reasonable thing. Like, I think if I were to read a little between lines, he's just saying like, I don't want to be a shield. Jimmy, say something. You know what I mean? Like, actually go address things and like.
Yeah, because he's really not defending you. He's just disproving Dogpack. Like that.
Exactly.
That's the primary kind of driver, or that's how I interpreted his video. I was like, oh, this is pretty balanced. Yeah, I like him. He's a cool dude. So
yeah, he didn't go with the grain and disproved a lot of things. But yeah, also went kind of hard on me too. So, but yeah.
He's not a big fan of lunch.
Where?
That's one thing for sure. He does not like lunch.
By commenting on his video, you left a comment on Soggy's video after it was posted. You said, "This is finally a video that doesn't spread baseless slander about me."
Yeah, I mean,
Lol.
obviously that was a stupid comment. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, how do you think that looks? I mean,
Yeah. Dumb. Like,
Yeah.
Agreed.
okay.
Especially the LOL. That just
Yeah.
Like specifically after the lawyers say like don't say anything, don't engage.
So yeah, it's like it kind of gives weight to you sort of taking the situation lightly. Like if anybody should be taking the situation lightly, it should be like me or Soggy or people like people who aren't actively involved in the situation. How would you put that worry, that concern at ease for someone who's like willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, which I think is super important. And you say something like that, and then it seems like you are taking the situation in general lightly.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a good question. I mean honestly, there's just a lot of disinformation that was correct in that video. And I just wrote that comment, and then right afterwards sent it to a couple of YouTubers, which because just like finally this thing is here. But I agree. Like dumb comment.
Legal and ethical issues. I feel like this is probably going to be a little bit more sort of. We're going to need some facts on screen to back up like whatever's being said here, just to because like there's only so much you can say.
Yeah.
So, and Soggy did a good job of sort of disproving a lot of these claims just in general, or giving weight to ones that deserve to have weight given to them. Yeah. So watch his video. Obviously, he did a lot of work on this stuff. So Dawson claimed that you ran multiple illegal lotteries, and in Soggy's video, he sort of I think disproved 2,
yes.
And then 1 he still believes was an illegal lottery.
Yes.
Do you believe that you ran an illegal lottery? Did you believe at the time? What was your mindset? Did you check with the FCC? Was there any compliance, any steps taken to prevent this? What is your just perspective on that?
Yes. So I don't think we did. I have people looking into it and like trying to pull the footage and figure it out. He disproved the 2, which.
My main question with this is like why were you so like quick to delete everything off of Facebook and everything then? Like this one is a little weird. I mean like now here's where I draw that line of like where I feel like I wanted to get involved because like all these YouTubers claim that like they care about their audience and everything, yet these are the same people that know and preach the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And why is that? Because people like this have way more than enough money to like live a regular life and like be comfortable. But they choose to be greedy and continue to figure out ways to make more. Which, I'm not, I like money. Like, I'm not gonna hold them against that. But like, the thing is like, when people like us are making like a 64th of like what he makes, it's like why are you trying to get us to like continuously like drain our bank accounts with like what little money that we have just to keep on like inflating your pockets? Like that's where I get pissed off. Like, I know it's something I probably shouldn't care about, but like I do. Like, it's just like the greed is what it is that like really irks my soul, I think. Cause like, yeah, he does all the philanthropy stuff, but like, again, why, like, what is the point of like making people spend an extra $7, $8, $10, $15, $20 when like we really don't need to? Like, I'm okay personally, but like there are people that aren't, and like they will spend like $50 that they should not be spending on merchandise to like try to win a giveaway for like a free Nintendo Switch or like a free iPhone in like one of these giveaways, and they get fucked. Which, I mean, like, it's kind of hard, especially when they make like 40, 50,000 orders in a couple of hours. Like, it's like with the amount of hype that's behind it, the amount of people that are there, like your chances just go significantly down. So like, I don't know. My whole take is like, don't engage with this type of stuff. Like, especially if you're younger, like, don't be like stealing your parents' credit card to like buy Mr. Beast merch because he said that he's gonna throw $100 in your order. Like, the chances are so low that like it's just not worth it, in my opinion. It's like the same thing with gambling. Like, I really hate gambling for that specific reason, and like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like people need to be a little bit smarter about the decisions that they make, in my opinion.
I mean, those are crazy. I'm trying to. I don't want to just like.
That's just my take, though.
But regardless, just to be truthful, if people want a refund or think for whatever reason like we did something wrong, like I'll send you a link that you can just put in the description where they can get a refund. Maybe just throw it on the screen here.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, at the
Why
moment,
does that have to be so big?
Follow up in the future. I'm trying to dig up all the footage from that live stream. This was like many years ago. Like, this isn't like something I did 3 months ago.
Yeah. COVID. It was 2020, right?
I don't remember.
I think the first one,
Yep, 2020.
The questionable one that Soggy had in his video was in 2020. I think it was in August 2020.
And I just don't have the footage from him, so
Yeah.
I'm looking them up.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think. I think at the very least, if people felt misled or whatever, or if it
100% request a refund. I mean,
definitely.
we do that anyways. Like on our site, if people want refunds, we give it to them. But for this specifically, we can just give you a URL, throw it right here. I mean, I have no idea what it'll be, and yeah, just send us your order code. Really, no big deal.
I'm gonna buy like 100 shirts and fucking
Third-party investigation confirmed
refund all of them.
Of harassment. How were these incidents addressed? And what systemic changes did you implement from after the investigation to prevent things like this from ever happening again? I'm assuming it's going to piggyback directly off the
what
the
we
HR
talked about before.
improvements.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, agreed. Like we talked about before, I have hundreds of employees, and when we brought the outside third party in, and I was like, hey, talk to whoever you need to, get an honest pulse of how some people are feeling. There were some things that people hadn't made us aware of that they felt more comfortable talking to Quinn and Manuel on, which is obviously ultimately why we ended up doing the anonymous hotline and that kind of stuff. And what you asked, what did we do? How do we handle it? Like I said before, it's just whatever they told me. If they told me like I need to fire someone, we fired them. Like
Another addition that I can make onto this, with working in a factory, like, and being around women that work in a factory, around like 50-year-old dudes that like have nothing to fucking lose. Like, sexual harassment's like really bad, like everywhere. Like, I know I'm like, I have this like shitty grin on my face, but like I'm only like grinning because like some of the shit that like some of these guys say to these girls is so fucking crazy. Like, you wouldn't imagine to actually like hear the shit come out of someone's mouth, but like, bro, it is crazy sometimes. And like, what do you do? Like, I'm not gonna lose my job fighting these people over girls I don't care about, like, people be doing that shit to my girlfriend, then yeah, like, I'm throwing hands, but
I mean, it's not like I don't want to be the arbiter of truth. I want people who are professional in these things to, get the information, make sure they have all the facts, and I want them to tell me what.
It's a matter of like standing up for yourself, I guess.
Have some form of bias or whatever, or maybe I like this person better.
Because like a lot of times, like HR won't do stuff about that. Like they'll move people, but like it won't get like I don't even obviously like I would fire people if it were my company, but like the sec like I don't even know because like you would have to like take into consideration the other person's point of view. But I mean like if it's like I don't know because then like you could have people just coming up and saying shit and then like you fire somebody based off an accusation and like it ends up not being true or whatever. Like it's
I don't like to say
it's
anything about
weird.
that stuff. And so I just did whatever they told me to do. And
I'm not in the position to
How
make
did you feel
decisions
when
like that,
you
so
found out that
I'm
a
gonna
third
leave
party
it there.
concluded that there were incidents of harassment in your business?
yeah, I mean, the first thing I was like, well, how can we, like we talked about before? And so I started educating myself, and I've been bringing in new leaders and people who have worked in bigger companies. And I was just like, you know, help me make sure like this kind of stuff doesn't happen and educate me on these kinds of things. Like, again, like this company is growing so fast. Like I keep saying the number 400 just so people realize this isn't just 10 employees making YouTube videos like it was for me 5 years ago. And so my first instinct was just like, educate me. Who do I bring in? How do we solve these things? And like I said before, it dials down to two things: making sure you're not fostering it, and then when it does happen, making sure you respond appropriately. And just like trying to learn everything I can in those two areas, and just find the best people in the world in those two areas to just review everything and make sure we're doing it correctly.
Dude, people were fired. How many people were disciplined, fired? Was it more? Like, how did that feel, knowing that there was like an amount of people that had to be disciplined, terminated, whatever, as a result of an investigation? It's kind of things just happening basically under your nose, due to a lack of business acumen or care or whatever word you would want to use.
Yeah.
How did it feel?
Well, I mean, like, I haven't even met all the people that work for me, you know, because it's so big and we have people all around the world and things like that. Just for context, I don't want people to think like, oh, these are people I'm just working with every single day and are just oblivious. But yeah, I mean, it just felt like I need to improve. I need to learn more, and just I want to fix these things, you know. So I mean, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say what? You have like no empathy?
I'm a problem solver.
Are you a fucking psychopath?
Default reaction, like instinct, is how do we solve it? And that's what we've been obsessing over, and I feel like
I get that, but like
progress.
no sort of like I feel bad for the people that are going through it. No.
Well, you know, there's
I'm gonna sue
tons of
Dogpack.
examples of him intentionally manipulating things to not be true and posting it online. Tons.
Motherfucker better run.
He has basically an hour and 27-minute video.
You better hide.
An hour of it is just flat out proving manipulation and lies, and
He's
caused
done.
a lot of harm to my businesses. I mean, I've literally
Dude,
had
he's
people
gonna
pull
be
out millions of dollars and then tell me it was directly because of his video. Don't worry, I instantly was like, can you send that in writing? So you know, if I win a case or anything, I can directly point damages. No reason why.
No reason. No
so-
reason.
I mean, it's just unfortunate. Like, I don't want to be put in this situation, but probably gonna have to. I mean, it's just. I mean, what do you do if someone's just spreading misinformation about you and, you know, just causing harm to your business and like getting it to the point where you might have to potentially fire people because it's costing you so much revenue? It's like it's not.
I need to fuck around and find out, Chart.
Just sad.
The more you fuck around, the more you find out.
Take joy in, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, yes.
They're not done drafting it up, but once they're done, more than likely, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
I mean,
That's
every law firm I've talked to, they're like, this would be the easiest win they've ever seen in their life. I mean, it's like crazy. I had one tell me like you could chop up all the evidence into like sue 3 separate times and win all 3 cases because you'd have enough for each. Like one person I was talking to, he's won like 67 out of his last 70 cases, and he's like, this would be literally the easiest case I've ever done. Like it's because there's just so much blatant, you know, misinformation and lies spread. Like, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, just go watch Sagi's video. Go look at his Twitter where he's redacted multiple ones of it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to be in this position.
Now, what do you think? Do you think that there could be any sense of regret from that? I mean, optically, once again, there's a lot of things working against you on a constant basis because you're the biggest person in the world.
Obviously, no one wants to be pushed to that point.
Down people's throats, algorithmically. Like if you decide to sue this man, even if he deserves it or not, which is like obviously up to you.
Well, I just want the slander and disinformation to stop. It would be
Right.
the bigger reason. But you're saying, when am I worried about how that would affect me PR-wise?
Yeah, just like what do you think?
I mean, right now, I'm getting canceled because I'm not suing him because they're saying, well, you know, Jimmy's not suing him, therefore there was truth, or Jimmy would be suing him. So at this point, I'm so big, it's kind of most scenarios are like either way. Like
I'm so big.
Negative for me.
I'm so
People
big.
could sue because you're worried about discovery. No, I don't give a fuck. I mean, why do I care? I'm here. This is discovery. You know what I
I'm
mean?
so
And
big.
no matter what I do at this point, like there's just a large group of people that are just gonna be unhappy, and that's just like a reality I have to be okay with, to be honest. As long as I agree with what I'm doing and I believe in what I'm doing, I mean that's all I really can do at this point.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, you know, it's probably a minority. Well, it's definitely a minority of people just in general who actually care about this type of shit. But like, you know, the silencing critics, for example, something very similar has happened. Well, not that similar, but something is happening to CoffeeZilla, who we'll talk about here in a minute as well. He's being sued, and that just, you know, to someone like me, I care about like rationality and understanding and people being big and, you know,
100%. And I would just say, go watch the Sagi video.
Yeah.
Look at all the blatant manipulation and lies. And this isn't me trying to silence them. This is me trying to, like, this is like borderline. I owe it to my employees. Because, like, I can't look at someone in the eyes and go, sorry, you're getting laid off because he decided to keep spreading misinformation about us. You know, go complain to Dog Pack,
I understand. It's like, there's a
this is bigger than me. I have a lot of people, a lot of families, a lot of kids that, you know, work or are under, you know, the people I employ that work for me. Like, it's not just me. Like, I can't.
Of course.
So.
And it's also, you know, just to finish what I was going to say, it is not silencing a critic. It is preventing the spread of misinformation, proving misinformation.
Exactly.
So I think being able to make that distinction, though, is very important. And that's something to consider. It's like how do you stop the misinformation and the slander, but also don't prevent people from caring about things ethically going forward and feeling willing to criticize someone like you. Even though, obviously, this situation, it appears quite clear-cut that this is misinformation. And truth is obviously the most important thing, but also there's like a sort of a slippery slope of silencing critics and censorship and all this crazy stuff, and freedom of speech is so
Still feel like he's looking at some.
not protected by the freedom of speech. So it's just a big, giant optical pill to swallow and consider, I feel like.
Agreed.
And I would be really interested to see your thoughts going forward, you know, in your decisions that you decide to make. I would love to stay in the loop on that because, you know, in the very beginning, I thought Soggy had good intentions.
Or Dog.
Dog Pack. Exactly. Yeah. Soggy does have good intentions, in my opinion. In the very beginning, and now things obviously are. He's turned this into sort of his thing.
Good intentions, even though even the very first video literally was what 90% lies.
It seemed.
You got manipulated.
Yeah,
but
of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
that doesn't make it good intentions.
Yeah. I'm just saying it seemed, and a lot of people also believe that.
Was it good intentions when he photoshopped a fake live stream and falsely accused me of not saying something I did?
All right, dude. He's just trying to say that like
a king size Feastables bar beside
it fucking looked that way.
And then lied about us having more sugar than them.
It's very clear that it was manipulation. Like fucking relax.
Never good intentions.
Yeah, of course. But I'm just
relax.
I was like, this is just lies, and everyone's like, oh my god. I was like, whoa.
We're just talking.
Chill the fuck out, bro.
Right. Optically.
People who fell for the optics. Yes.
But that's
yeah. Like a lot of people did, dude. Like that's what the fucking point is. Like
to go out of their way to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Chill.
Yeah.
It's super important to consider all that.
Yes.
But yeah, and obviously it's been proven now that he is Mr. and misinformation combined, right? It's for someone like me who actually cares about, like, I like to pretend that I care about the truth of things, and I don't want someone like you who has worked very hard objectively to get where you're at. I don't want you to be slandered or for people to lie about you, etc. But at the same time, you know, like, you are the one who's going to win. You are the one who will always win. You're the top, right? Like, you got this big thing, so you have the most responsibility, and you've got to be the best guy.
Cognizant of the implications it would have.
Yeah.
But it's also on the reverse side. It potentially caused people to not want to spread misinformation and not slander people. So there's also the positive side of that where people realize, like, disinformation has repercussions.
It's just something to consider.
Agreed.
Right?
I don't take the decision lightly. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay. I believe that as well. But yeah, I think that's a you're the guy. I mean, if anybody could go and be as ethical
you're the guy
and do everything as perfectly as possible and actually take the moral high ground and pretend, it is you. You've got all the resources. You are the guy who can do all this stuff.
The guy.
To be honest. So
you're the guy. Yo, what the fuck was that movie called?
You'll do all this stuff cool and right, and stop.
Hold up.
Misinformation, etc. Which is good.
You didn't tell him yet, did you? I was getting around to it. Deceivers. What about the other side of level 5? There is no other side. You'll be imprisoned in the game. Game over.
We're not letting you shut down this game. Now you're gonna see just how fast that counter of yours can count backwards.
You have to go through me first. Game boy. Now, listen to me.
Where is it?
Stop saying you're the guy. We all know that you're not the guy.
He's not the guy.
He's not the guy. I'm the guy.
And you are?
I'm the guy.
Guy. The real guy. And I say we go in, we beat this unwinnable level, and we...
I'm the guy.
which is good.
Disinformation.
Disinformation.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Misinformation.
They're cousins.
Could be an accident. Disinformation.
I'm the guy.
Let's see. So now to move on.
You're
to
the guy.
CoffeeZilla, one of my favorite YouTubers. There was a comprehensive report published that painted a negative light on crypto dealings allegedly associated with you. To what extent were you involved in these crypto transactions, and how do you respond to CoffeeZilla's video on you detailing these allegations? I thought he gave you a benefit of the doubt in that video.
Yeah.
I think he's a very reasonable guy, to be honest. I think he's a very smart, reasonable guy who cares about like doing the right thing, which is pretty rare on YouTube. You know, how would you respond to Coffee's video?
Yeah, Coffee's video and the report. Well, so I'll start off with the report. I mean, most people probably haven't even read it, but that's what kind of spawned that whole thing was this. Did you see it? Like, yeah. So the gist of this crypto report that was, 1 second, sorry, it's not in my. The gist of this report was, Jimmy is too stupid to like make this kind of money, therefore it must be insider trading. This is his wallet, you know. Clearly there was insider trading because he never would have been able to make this kind of money, when in reality, which is what I told Coffee in that statement we gave him, it was managed by a fund. So I wasn't the one managing the wallet. You know, I've never had access to that wallet. I've never done the buying and selling on that wallet. There's a actual professional who's written books on crypto and lived and breathes crypto every second of the day managing it. So most of the allegations there like are just answered by like, I am too stupid to do that. That's why a fund was managing it. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, like Coffee said, like if
I'll wait until we're done with this to add.
Yeah, he has answers for everything and just checks out. And if you don't like Jimmy, then you're gonna go. You know, there's obviously wrongdoing here. But yeah, I mean, the honest truth is like I make videos. I'm running 7 businesses. I got a lot going on, and yeah, I invest in a crypto fund. They invest on my behalf, and I've never like had access to that wallet. They're the one doing the buying and selling. I mean, there are thousands of transactions on there. Like I don't even have that kind of time. I'm sure you could probably even look at it and see like days where I was like maybe in solitary confinement or like doing a video where I didn't even have access to a computer and there's trading.
True.
So for the conspiracy theorists that think I'm lying and using the fund as a cover up, like, I mean, there's gotta be some way where you could just figure that out, like, or I was on a plane ride or something. But yeah, that's like the honest transparency is, you know, I was in a crypto fund and people thought I owned the wallet and it's called Wu-Tang Clan. Do you listen to Wu-Tang Clan?
I have, yes.
I don't.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's another indicator.
Really?
I wouldn't have named it Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
I had to educate myself on what Wu-Tang Clan was. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but like I know what Wu-Tang Clan is, not have ever listening to it.
YouTubers in any way being involved
Like-
with crypto in any sense now is just like
Well, agreed, and that's why I literally put it in a fund because I was like, I don't want to like fuck with this stuff and like be you know, I just like I want someone who knows what they're doing to do it to make sure things are above board. So that's literally why I did that, right? It's because I was like, if I'm buying and selling it, maybe I mess things up or do something dumb. So I was like, oh, this fund is led by someone who knows what he's doing. Here you go. You know, that was literally the whole logic behind it.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. On to some philanthropy and charitable work stuff. Soggy revealed delays in philanthropic projects such as the walking assistance video due to lost partnerships. He talked about that in his.
So the crypto shit, like, it's basically like, it goes back to the whole, like, why do you need more money thing. Like, I mean, I guess he, like, puts it back into his videos, but, like, I don't know. Like, so, like, the whole thing with the crypto wallet, like, you clearly just, like, gave them the money and were like, make me money no matter what. Which I don't think there was any like scamming that was involved with it or anything, but like
His sort of disproving video. Yeah, how do you intend
the one charity coin was like
that
weird,
brand that is literally a vehicle for
which they
philanthropy,
skipped over. That they'll get to
and how
it
do you-
later in the
how do you
video.
Intend on regaining trust with the brands to put money to that to generate revenue to use for.
Yeah. I mean, I hope step one is literally this video. I mean, I hope like I just need people to, hey, just stop making videos titled "Mr. Beast fakes his philanthropy" with devil horns on in the thumbnail of my head, and like you know,
Pegasus.
things that aren't facts. Like,
Yeah.
because like as long as people are just spreading that disinformation, I mean, it's gonna be pretty hard to convince these people. But hopefully, once that dies down, I think it's just more of a time thing. Because yeah, it'd be nice, like, because yeah, the charity definitely needs that whole like disinformation thing to kind of just stop. Like I spend $150,000 a month, like, so I pay for the employee's salary, so all the revenue from the videos goes straight towards doing our project. So I cover all this employees, a little bit of overhead, that kind of stuff. So that way, if we get like a $400,000 brand deal plus the ad revenue from the video, we can like spend all that money on like, you know, buying shirts for, you know, homeless people or whatever it is. So I just put that money in, but this like this past week when we also put the $150,000 in the account. I had to put another $1 million in to make up for like 2 lost brand deals. So I'm like now having to like plow money in on top of the $150,000 a month I'm already plowing in, on top of filming the videos and doing all that. And it's just yeah, it's just brutal, to be honest, because I can't do that forever. So because I'm already putting a lot of money into it, and so yeah, hopefully I don't know the answer. I don't have a crystal ball, but hopefully like people just kind of stop slandering you. You can attack me, just don't attack the channel. It's literally a 501c3. Like that'd be nice, to be honest.
Yeah, and you know, that one is weird to me because it's like
I would unironically, this is a crazy sentence, but unironically, if instead of starting a YouTube channel, giving it to a 501c3 and filming videos and donating millions upon millions of dollars, all the revenue to a charity, and then using that to help people, if I just started any other channel, like I don't know, like a channel where I just sit down and talk and kept all the money and just bought a $10 million mansion after like 2 years, I think that universe where I just sit down and talk and buy a $10 million mansion and make a video on the mansion, that version of me would get maybe 1% of the shit that the version. Yeah, and so it's like
I agree with that too, honestly.
Let's hate if I just stop the philanthropy channel, but I just want to help people and it's cool projects and I believe in what it's doing. But it's a little funny when you think about it.
I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's absolutely the devil horns thing. Dogpack actually cut a part out of his first video about you being the Antichrist. Did you see that?
I did.
What'd you think of that?
This was funny.
You get here a little fast, to be honest. You teleported.
The sad part is he was being serious in it. And,
yeah, he cut that part out.
I'm gonna plead the fifth with this shit.
I kept saying Jimmy's the Antichrist because one of his studios was a church, because there's not many warehouses in North Carolina, so I just bought a church and converted it into a warehouse. And like he unironically was claiming I was the Antichrist. In the same videos, all these other accusations.
Well, what's the worst that could happen?
Everything else is true. When I saw that, I was like, okay, now people are gonna like be like, okay, maybe he's just, you know.
I don't like believe in anything. Like I wouldn't consider myself like an atheist, but more so of like I'll figure it out when I get there, and like I have I think the right set of values, like family values, and like just overall being a decent person. So like I don't think I necessarily have to follow anything. I'm just kind of here until I'm not, and then whatever happens, I guess.
But didn't change anything.
I mean, yeah. Does it like bother you? Did that bother you specifically, or is it just? I mean, because like, how do you even?
I'm not the Antichrist. I mean, where's the Bible? I'm not the Antichrist. There you go.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I kind of thought you might be. It is a weird one because I've heard people say that in my real life. They're like, his name is. We live out here in the sticks.
Yeah.
All right. And they're like, his name is Beast. It's got the 6,000. That's a 6. Like people, I think that's very funny, to be honest. And in like an ironic way, I don't actually obviously believe that you're the Antichrist.
I'll be honest. I don't even know what that means. I see those like conspiracy theories occasionally, and
yeah.
I don't even, like if I was just like, I tweeted, yes, I'm the Antichrist. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Do you ever speak in Babylonian curses?
Only occasionally. Not in the past year. I've kind of moved away from it.
Yeah, you've stopped speaking in tongues.
No, we need to stop joking like this because that's gonna be the
People
next.
It's
gonna be the next More Pegasus video.
Mr. Beast Antichrist confirmed.
Yeah, they're gonna take the clip of me talking about the thumbnail with the horns and put that there.
Yeah, I'll show them a picture of my circle with a pentagram in it that you spawned out of.
Yeah.
Anyways. Do you plan back to philanthropy, to things that actually matter and are actually important, because that's what the whole point of this video is, to try to be.
Opa, we're being serious.
Yeah, it's serious.
Hey, lock in.
Yeah, it's a serious video, and we're trying to be honest.
It actually is serious.
I've been locked in.
Do you plan to provide more transparency in how funds are used for your philanthropic efforts for Beast Philanthropy, your 501?
I've seen a lot of people ask about that too. So for the Beast Philanthropy, anyone can audit our books. We pass the audit every year, and
I don't give a fuck about this, honestly. I'm skipping past this because like
you repeatedly talk about how much money is lost or whatever. What makes like money? Like how do you?
Yeah,
how
feastables. Self food. So obviously it is profitable. But yeah, I mean the content is just we lose a lot of money on our content. I don't want to say it because but it's a disgusting amount. But so we offset it through things like feastables and things like that. As a whole, we're gonna lose money this year, especially because everything going on didn't really help.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the transparency. I mean, obviously, you can, like you mentioned, you can audit charities. They're totally public. So
yeah, I would love to fly someone out. We've unironically been wanting to do this. We asked a couple YouTubers. They just were like, well, if you're asking us, then there's probably nothing there. So why would I do a video on it?
Yeah.
So like people only care when there's a smoking gun.
Yeah, of course.
But I've been trying to get someone to do a video like deep diving the Beastlanty financials because people have so many like theories exactly, and I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to hide anything. Like they just literally say no when I ask. Like anyways, yeah.
Some fans feel like there is a fine line between philanthropy and using vulnerable people for content. How do you feel about people who think that your videos unintentionally exploit vulnerable people for entertainment? So
It's basically like vids or it didn't happen is essentially like I don't know. The one thing that I have to say is like the one video that he did where he like gave, I think, a house to like a Domino's delivery driver or some shit. He like there was a video of him like with his phone, like with a stack of money. And like making him like make all these fucking weird faces for the thumbnails and shit, and like that was a little fucked up seeing that, like just like dangling money in front of somebody's face, like, oh, do this for it, do that for it, like, haha, funny. Like I don't like that shit.
I think that's a very valid concern that people have, and I think this is one that's gonna be hard to kind of explain because people are gonna just be like, well, just be a rich guy and donate all your money and
But it's like
more money than me, therefore
for like the site video,
like that's it's really hard.
you can't like prove that you did that without like creating the video.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
And then also like fucking, what about like all the other TV shows that like basically do the same thing? What about fucking like, okay, let's put this into perspective. Like fucking Extreme Makeover Home Edition, right? You know, you get picked to get this fucking home renovation, or like the TV shows where like you like win a house or like whatever, right? All of a sudden, like these people have these houses that are worth like $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, and tax season comes up and hey, we can't afford the fucking taxes on this because it's too expensive. It's completely out of our means. Yeah, we got it for free, but we didn't think about taxes. So like, what about shit like that? Like,
honestly, that would be an easier one to take video by video because obviously that is something I'm very cognizant of, and I don't want to take advantage of people or use people.
There's a lot of other things to think about.
The next video where like comparing it, the world's cheapest plane ticket, the most expensive, the other,
like
helping 1,000 people see. The other, we're putting 100 people in a circle. They're just so different, right? The answer to that for helping 1,000 people see again would be completely different than the answer for when I put 100 people in a circle or whatever. So as a blanket one, I'm not 100% sure how to like just blanketly answer it. Besides, like that is something I'm very aware of, and like we try to pick people who don't really fit that bill. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. It seems like a difficult line to walk, to be honest. I don't think. Yeah, it's a tough.
Like
tough
when we were doing the helping 1,000 people see again. Like if someone's like, I don't want to be on camera, which this happened lots of times. We just be like, that's fine. You can still have the surgery. Like, so a lot of times we do that, especially in the ones where people are more, less fortunate. We're very hyper cognizant of it. And we cut people out all the time, or we just don't even film. Like sometimes people, we make them aware beforehand, but they'll just show up and then they'll get a little camera shy. And like, anytime I pick up on that, I'm always like, hey, like if you don't want to be on camera, we will still do this. Like it's perfectly fine. And they're always like, oh, then yeah, I prefer not to. And it's like, cool. And then we just step out and let them do their thing.
That's cool. Yeah, I think, because that's one thing that's like a running joke is like you have to be on camera, you have to be a part of it.
That's a part of why I like doing so many, because like if I do 1,000 surgeries, it's like I don't need all of them. You know what I mean? Like
that'd be a long video.
Exactly. I mean, we show like rapid fire so people can see proof that we did that many, but it's like if 100 of them or 200 of them don't want to be on camera, it's not a big deal.
Now to the 1,000 video, 1,000 people.
Yeah, that'd be like a lot of footage to fucking film, like comb through.
Yeah, it was alleged that it was not paid.
Yeah.
And you eventually paid them 8 months later. What was the cause of the delay?
Yeah, 100%. And that you said alleged. I mean, so they weren't paid. Let me zoom out. Basically, we did a video where we helped 1,000 people see again. We off camera actually did 800 other surgeries. So we did 1,800 surgeries. I just only put 1,000 in the video. And for a lot of them, we worked through with the charity just to make sure things were, because they had a lot of experience with this. And that charity worked with a lot of doctors on the ground and other little charities. And one of the charities that they worked with did a couple dozen surgeries. I don't know the exact number. I'm gonna say around 30. And then the charity we were working with was supposed to release the funds to him afterwards to pay for it. There's a little bit of a misunderstanding. They didn't get it, so we ended up paying for like 970, and like I didn't know of this, but like that little misunderstanding never got taken care of. So then the charity that did the 30 surgeries made a video saying, hey, we didn't get paid. Somehow that never ended up on my radar for 8 months, which is honestly crazy. I don't know how no one sent that to me. We obviously had no knowledge of it. And then I saw it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, whoa. I instantly called the team we were working with, and I was like, what's going on here? And then we looked through it all, blah, blah. And then I was just like, I just paid them. So I actually double paid for those surgeries and just paid them separately. Obviously, just a little misunderstanding. 1,000 surgeries. Even if here's a couple ways you could look at this rationally. If we did 970 surgeries, why would I intentionally not pay the last 30 to save 3%? Just nuke the entire rep of the video just to save 3% of money. That just doesn't make sense.
Good point.
B, what makes it even less logical is we did 800 more eye surgeries off camera, and obviously,
and they got paid.
I'm explaining things, but I have to, because there are literal videos using this as proof that I'm evil, and using this as proof that I don't care, using this as proof that I fake things, the horns, yeah. So like, but when you think about it, we did 800 off camera. So if I was aware that of the paperwork trail, the mishap, and that we didn't pay those 30, why would I not just take 30 of the 800 we did off camera and swap it out for those, and just put the 30 that people are claiming we intentionally didn't pay for off camera? It's almost like I didn't know, because if I was trying to be manipulative, I wouldn't have put them in the video because I had 800 other ones. You see what I'm saying? So everything about it just makes no sense. And then even the person, after we reached out, he deleted his video and he uploaded a video saying, oh, it's just a misunderstanding. But everyone just conveniently ignores that because it doesn't help their narrative. So
it's not as fun.
I mean, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Like, these are huge projects. Like, I'd love to see any of the people making videos on this, like, try to just help 10 people see again. Now picture 1,000. Like 1,000. That is, well, actually we did 1,800. So 1,800. It was just a lot of stuff. Like, it's not like I can individually call all 1,800 afterwards and things like that. Like, some of these were in poor places. They don't even have phones. So yeah, a little bit of a whoopsie, but we fixed it when we found out about the whoopsie. I mean, that's the honest truth.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect to not make mistakes with an operation that's big. Yeah. It's just gonna happen. It's just gonna happen.
When I do,
you'll have that on them big jobs.
There's transparency there. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a non-issue.
I mean, you would think that, but plenty of thumbnails.
It took Team C's 3 years to remove the equivalent of 10 hours worth of trash being dumped into the ocean every day. And a lot of people have criticized the campaign as being ineffective and that you should have been doing something else instead of Team C's. Yeah. Yeah, like how do you even...
What do you mean something else?
Yeah, so...
This I don't give a shit about. Because, like... Bro, are you out there picking trash up off of the ground? Like, are you doing anything in your fucking power to clean up anything around you? No, I highly doubt it. I do my best to not litter. Like, I try to keep my trash in my car and stuff, like, and dispose of it properly, and, like, we recycle and stuff, my girlfriend and I, but, like, don't sit here and act like you're this world preservation activist, like, 34 million pounds, like, this is one of them. I just, like...
Creators saw a video of these creators talking positively about the environment, and by the whole plus.
In that video, part of the criticism for that video is that a few of the wells that you built were showed in different shots, or the same wells were showed in different shots. Yeah. That would imply to some...
Okay, the only thing that I have to say about the well, I'm trying to, like, get through this because, like, I understand we've been live for an hour and 42 minutes now. Like, I'm kind of getting over it at this point. But, like, the only thing that I have to say about the wells is, like, is there anybody, like, being sent to, like, check on them and, like, maintain them? Or, like, are they just set there and, like, the people have to deal with it?
Some people that you may...
It's, like, the only thing that I have to really say about that.
So there's no mass... But the entire integrity to save, like, these fake... It just really, like, has made doing the projects we want to do, like,
I've asked you how it makes you feel. You said it doesn't feel good with regard to that. Like, this charity thing, it's got to feel good to do this.
Yeah.
It was the Roman Atwood podcast with Heavy D Sparks. He said that doing charity is, like, the most selfish thing in the world because you're the one that actually benefits from it because of how good you feel for doing it. I can kind of say that, yeah, I agree with that because it made me feel really good when we donated to the North Carolina hurricane fund. Like we sent donations in, and I donated to GoFundMe's to get them supplies, and then I also donated to a GoFundMe that was set up to pay for jet fuel for private helicopter owners that were out there flying supplies to people, bringing people out of like where they were at and stuff. But like, yeah, that it felt really good being able to contribute to that.
I'm assuming are enjoying the work that they're doing. I know a guy, fellow Darren, is involved in the philanthropy, or at least was. Much.
Well, we can still do it. It's just infinitely harder. I mean, we're never gonna stop. But yeah, I think this charities want to do good and for employees, you know, to is more.
How much charity do you do off camera?
Who fucking cares?
Working alongside the farmers, the entire supply chain.
You're damned if you do. Once again, if you're damned.
Because even me saying it here, did that just defeat the purpose of everything I did? Oh, he only did those things so he could use
eventually,
it.
use it as a way to make.
Of
himself.
course, I'm sure that like the r/YouTube drama post is gonna say that, and then someone's gonna debunk it, but that reply will be deleted, and then everyone's gonna believe the post, and yeah.
Some people allege, the internet alleges, some people on the internet allege that you use philanthropy as a shield against criticism.
Yeah.
And like they say that about a lot of people, not just you.
That's so.
Dude, who fucking cares?
They really are a huge point of contention on Twitter, and people. You said that if you spent $5 million building a firework, people wouldn't really even get mad. When you did the fucking Squid Games thing, they still were mad at that. They were like, "Why didn't you give that to?" Like, you're always going to be making a lot of people upset, no matter what.
Especially at my size, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like if I get 200 million views on a video, if only 1%.
Whistle and Diesel, same shit. Like he gets fucking criticized over destroying trucks that someone could have like used that truck. That could have been a good truck for somebody. Meanwhile, the thing's fucking rotted out on its last leg, firing on fucking 3 cylinders out of fucking 8. Every fucking bushing's fucking shot in it. Like, shut the fuck up.
Of people mad. That's still 2 million, which is more people mad than like might even watch this video. You know, what I mean?
You're
So,
cringe. You're weird.
The size, like, it just that's the world I live in.
Yeah, and that's sort of like the grander point that I've tried to sort of clarify is like you are the guy. You're the guy, right? You're the guy.
You're the guy. He's the guy. I'm the guy. You're the guy.
People expect you to have extremely high expectations of yourself.
We are all the guy.
Yeah, of course.
You're Squidward. I'm Squidward. We're all Squidward.
It's just a simple bar of chocolate that happens to not be very good. When
you live in America. There's not much competition here.
With all the allegations that have come into people's view over the last few months, people noticed that on the Feastables website, it originally said that the chocolate was child labor and slave labor free. A lot of people probably don't know that the production of chocolate is it's difficult for it to be ethical, especially at scale. And it no longer says that on the Feastables website, and people have interpreted this to mean that your chocolate is no longer ethically sourced, and it implies that
Well, them kids have families to feed too.
It's using child labor.
No, I'm joking. Child labor is fucked up.
Yeah, that one was a crazy one when I woke up and saw those videos claiming I used slave labor. What's funny is any of those creators, I'm just gonna say it.
He goes into he went to a company that does it's exploitation free, but it's just like it covers a broader spectrum than just child labor. Like it goes further, and they like tackle more issues than just specifically that.
Actually, probably one of the most serious allegations of all of them. Like saying we use slave labor is like that's crazy.
And also we preface that are even more important, arguably, than
well, and it's also hypocritical with everything I do. If I just turn around and use slave labor, then it's like, okay, it's just, yeah. So anyways, to get into it, yes, there's a lot of unethical stuff.
Yeah, slave labor obviously is not good too. I didn't mean to like intentionally leave that out.
Again, I'm going to really lay this out. I have lived and breathed this. I visited the farms. I personally put over 1,000 hours of my own time into this. And like, so majority of the world's cocoa comes from West Africa. Feastables early on, we sourced from Peru, which Peru doesn't have ethical problems. But after we started getting...
He also says that he like pays them like extra to make sure that they could like live.
So, not only are 100% of Feastables beans fair trade certified, reference, they need to get a ton of cocoa. Actually, want to pay you 1,000 beans, which is farms. So we have people who any way they can. I could go on and on. I mean, you tell me how in depth you want to go, but the gist of it is Feastables. We are super cognizant of our supply chain, and I've been over there. I've worked on these farms, literally. I mean, months. So I mean,
in that world, and there's like some unaccredited sources that claim that they're not slave free, but they're once again unaccredited. Like Tony
no,
Chocolonely.
Tony Chocolonely is super transparent. So
Yeah.
you can
This
see
is the
every
company
year they
too,
do a
then.
transparency report. And in their last transparency report, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you can look up on screen. They said there's no evidence or any traces of slave labor found in their supply chain. So that's not a thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, to answer actually the original question, and it's even Sagi showed it in his video, but I'll just restate it for anyone who hasn't seen it. They're big on saying exploitation free instead of slave free, which is why we switched it. And on top of that, we just we have new information there instead of just this blanket thing. We're now, I mean, or maybe it's being populated or updated. I don't know if I'm quoting like a demo site that we're about to go live or whatever, but I want it to like everything I'm telling you here. I want all that up there. You know what I mean? And which we've been working on. Just honestly, just with all this stuff going on, I've had a lot going on. But I want to like these are the kinds of things I want to talk about in videos and start like telling everyone. It's just these are a little bit more complicated things, like explaining a living income reference price and the premiums of fair trade certification and child labor remediation systems and stuff like that. It's stuff I'm very passionate about, but a lot of these things like viewers might not understand. So, and my videos aren't as like, this setting. So it's easy for me to say here, but these are, anyways, before someone's like, why did you talk about that publicly? It's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. Oh, I spent a year plus of my life and all millions of dollars and all this time ethically sourcing my cocoa. And because I didn't show up publicly, it's like, oh, now everyone's criticizing me and they're assuming I'm not, and I don't care. And it's like, so this is why I have to do things on camera. Next time someone asks, why does he do things on camera? This is what happens when I don't. I get accused of using slave labor.
That's a crazy accusation.
A baseless accusation.
Yeah, it truly. Yeah, I mean, once again, being associated with Tony Chocolonely is like that's huge. That's
of course. Yeah. I mean, those were the first people I hit up when we were switching our supply chain over. Like, yeah,
it's cool. Now on to Lunchley.
Oh gosh.
Right.
Fuck Lunchley.
So, friend of the show, Rosanna Pansino, happened to get a moldy Lunchley, and a couple other creators got moldy Lunchleys, and then that began the claims sprouted out of that. Yep. That Lunchley had been recalled due to those problems, due to the mold.
No recalls. Initial product defect at the beginning of mass production. Shit happens. They're trying to fix it. However, again, greedy. Fucking don't buy it.
Makes sense. Going, that doesn't belong there and put like, example in there. Yeah, understand. It's like, so it's not a thing until after it leaves. But I mean, when you buy the product, like it's there are just variables that we can't control.
I understand. Yeah, definitely. And like you're using the logic of you can look up the other brand and then mold. Logan Paul had a moment on Twitter where he basically did
this was fucked up.
The reverse logic.
This was fucked up.
Other brand led, and then compared that with Lunchley. But I think it's important to state.
Logan Paul like straight up fucking like found some dude, like some random dude, and like had people like going to like the store that this dude worked at, and like that was fucking crazy. Fuck Logan Paul for doing that. That guy did not deserve that. He didn't do nothing wrong. He did what his fucking manager told him to do. And he got fucking like almost fired over that shit.
And if there's anyone who, I mean, I have like
all because you got fucking bent out of shape over people not liking your fucking Lunchables fucking ripoff.
It was actually really funny.
Fuck you.
Because like the food stuff, I find very important, and because I have educated myself in it a lot since having my own food company. Like we manufacture here in this town.
Can I see it before I leave?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So like that's super important to me. And there was a video that like the actual misinformation stuff that bothers me outside of YouTube drama nonsense, because it's hard to like feel like it's I don't know it's a strange world being in YouTube just in general. I know you're very well aware of that, but
that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Damn.
But like seeing somebody like Logan Paul with so much influence and like you guys promoting Lunchley and like somebody like Logan Paul acting as if you can find lead, like traceable amounts of lead in a metal detector with like that. That's just there's misinformation from like both sides. You know what I mean? And for someone like me, I find that to be very important. I did make a video about that.
Yeah.
And the same thing you're saying about the mold, giving Lunchley the benefit of the doubt. It's important to do that across the board. I feel like so. Which you didn't make the claim that there's no lead.
I honestly, I know what video you're talking about. This is what I'm too ignorant on what that machine does, so I don't.
Yeah.
I'd have to.
We've got the same one. It detects metal. Every product like Feastables has lead in it. All cacao has lead in it. Anything that comes from the earth has lead in it. It's very difficult to get lead out of things, and like the lead that they measure for is parts per billion. So like you can't detect it. You're not going to find like a little chunk of lead.
This is where you're in a different league than me. I'm so ignorant on this.
It's important though. I mean, it's really important to note that because it's like it's just like you said, use the word ignorant. It is really ignorant to, it's just as ignorant for people to say Lunchly's got mold in it that it is for people to say that Lunchables or the other brand has lead in it. You know what I mean?
He name dropped.
Because there will be recalls no matter what. Like eventually there's going to be a recall if you have a food product. So yeah, I think it's important to like hold the candle to it all the time. And like just like you're doing with Feastables. I mean, like if there is a good example of approaching things ethically, I feel like you guys have done an excellent job with Feastables. And your PR with Feastables is, in my opinion, leaps and bounds better than the PR with Lunchly. I think you're doing a really good job with that, to be honest.
Well, Lunchly though, the next SKU, or why would I say? It's not everyone listening. What's a different word for SKU? They might not know what that means. Next
iteration.
The next one.
Flavor.
Flavor. I guess if that's what you'd call me. The next one we're dropping, I think people would be very surprised. Like we're obviously. This business is like 2 months old. Like Lunchly, like we're just getting started. We obviously saw the feedback, and we're incorporating that into the next one. And I'm excited. I should have checked with the team beforehand if I could just say what it is. But I'll tell you off camera. But it's I think all the criticism and things we obviously are seeing it, and like think everything can be improved. And I think people are gonna be very happy with
something healthy is gonna come out.
We're thinking. I don't think they'd ever say maybe like grilled chicken nuggets with maybe like some barbecue sauce, like high quality meat. Good source. And like trying to figure out what the side is, but like taking the criticism and applying it. It's like like something like that. I'm very excited about because
that's huge. Yeah, that's good. That's awesome because it's like. I mean, it was funny. The day that I filmed that video, I got a box of Lunchly sent to my house, as if it was like some kind of sign. Like I don't know why or how or who sent me it or what. I don't know how the fuck.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was good. It's like it's just the quick snack food.
I've never had a Prime before.
Sure, less bad,
Never had a Feastables.
If you're doing something like that, what you're saying there, that's
never had a Lunchly.
I know. I'm very excited.
I refuse.
So badly, but it's probably going to be early next year. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah. People allege that you hired a registered sex offender named Delaware. There's a big whole conspiracy with it. Why did you hire?
All right, this I care about.
Were you aware that he was a sex offender before you hired him? By the way, to preface this question, this is something that I think a lot of people probably feel like is really important. It is. So that in mind, this is one of the most important things to me. I would love to hear the full truth response from you in regard to that.
Yeah, and I'm excited to put it out there because I think
excited.
What people are envisioning is completely different than what
excited.
Yes, I did hire him, but for the context around it, I hired him when I was 19, so I was a teenager, and this is kind of leans a little bit into what we were talking before. This is back when it was just a couple of my friends from high school, my mom. My videos were getting bigger. I needed more help, and so I walked in. Because I'm dumb. Like, I probably should have gone on some site and hired people who had production experience, but instead I walked into my local Best Buy and I just hired multiple people. Obviously, when I was a teenager, I didn't know what a background check was. And I just hired a couple people there that wanted to help me make videos. One of them was the person named Delaware. And no, I did not know he was a registered sex offender. There's a rumor that's gone around that said that he sat me and my mom down and told us. Obviously, I don't remember that happening. And when I read that tweet, the first thing I did was I called my mom and I was like, hey, this is like 7 or 8 years ago. Just put this in context. 7 or 8 years ago, not indicative of my company today, but I was like, did this happen? Because someone's claiming this happened. My mom said, I would have literally quit or honestly probably shut the business down before I ever let my teenage son hire a registered sex offender knowingly, which I have a very protective mom. So, I mean, even if you don't believe me, you should at least believe that. I feel like it's not absurd to believe that my mom wouldn't have knowingly let her teenage son hire a registered sex offender. Like, that just doesn't even, like, in what world does that even make sense? It's like that just, I mean, that's not even rooted in reality. So, but yeah, it's just an unfortunate thing that happened. Not that this, I take accountability. Yes, if I could go back in time, I would tell teenage me, hey, you're supposed to do background checks. 19-year-old me, he stared at retention charts all day. He obsessed over YouTube videos. He didn't know anything about running a business. Like, I can't fully put myself in the mind of me 7 years ago, but I'm sure teenage me also thought, like, hey, Best Buy's worth tens of billions of dollars in a big corporation. Like, they also didn't do background checks. And, like, I probably thought, like, oh, I'm hiring from this big business. It's probably fine. You know what I mean? Or maybe I didn't put much thought into it because I was just making videos. But regardless, we do background checks now, and we do these things. I've been doing it for a long time, and it's just an unfortunate thing. But I just for context, though, just to give to a lot of people listening, like, or watching, I called after that stuff came out, too, because I was just curious. I called, like, I don't know the exact number, maybe, like, 24 YouTubers, and I asked them, like, do you guys do background checks? And I think, like, a dozen of those YouTubers have, like, more than 10 employees, and literally only 2 of the, like, 24 YouTubers I called do them. Like, 6 of them were like, I don't even know how to do a background check. You know what I mean? And they all had employees. So, like, I do, not that I'm not trying to deflect anything or whatever. I'm just trying to give context. Like,
I know how to do background checks.
It is a little much to just think that 19-year-old me was just supposed to know that and have this knowledge. And it's unfortunate. And like I said,
yeah. And to be fair, I keep saying that you're the guy. Back then, you weren't the guy.
I was not the guy.
So
I was
the guy.
Calling what I had back then a company was Would he?
Yeah.
Generous.
That was the bully. You were
Yeah,
the
that
bully.
was the. I like that was the boy. And but yeah, now I have hundreds.
No, you're the guy.
Standards for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and to speak on that as well, we do background checks for everyone who works at our we have a video game development company and a candy company. Obviously, both those background checks. But my YouTube channel, I think I've hired 2 people from Indeed. Both of them have been given background checks, and everybody else.
Did you background check this guy?
Nope, I've known him for 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and Mr. Beast knew Chris
The
for
entire dog pack video.
Yeah.
longer, I'm pretty sure, and look at how that turned out.
You know, there's an interview with a former employee and contestant named Jake Weddle in which he alleges
Pussy.
inhumane treatment on set, even war crimes.
Fucking pussy.
Phrase war crimes. How do you respond to these allegations, and do you plan on putting procedures in place to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Yeah. Glad I can talk about this one. So I think I should set the floor because maybe not everyone here fully even knows what the challenge was or anything. So yeah, I think
I have a couple things to say about this.
For the Weddle video.
Oh, excuse me. So, first thing, the whole Delaware situation. Jimmy and Chris were like high school best friends, right? They like knew each other. They like lived together and shit. So like, and the connection with Delaware and Chris is from the Gamer from Mars video. He said that I can't remember exactly if it was Delaware that was the manager or if there was this other guy, because there was somebody else that was brought up into this. I can't remember exactly what his name was. I think it was like Chuck or something. I'll link all the videos in the description then once the stream is over. But I want to say that Delaware was like Chris's manager or something, but they at bare minimum worked together at some point. And like, it just seems really weird that like, I mean, obviously like you're not going to go around and be like, hey, I'm an RSO. Like, I'm Doc, RSO. Like, pleasure to meet you. Like, you're not going to obviously have that, but like, if they've been around each other long enough, I feel like that would have come up at some point in conversation. But like, I can't say for certain. But like, that's where my discrepancy lies with that whole shit. I think that Chris may have knew beforehand and just didn't say anything because he's a fucking weirdo.
The video was we built a room in our studio.
Ava now, but I'm
you live in this room,
speaking in the
it was like kind of like a white padded room. There's like a
context
table
of
in
like
there,
back
some
then,
other items, blah, blah.
before
And,
the change.
let me just gather my thoughts on this one.
Obviously, I'm not trying to misgender or
How do I want to say? I think the best way to talk about this is to also talk about how we did similar videos with other people. Because one of the things is like,
address
multiple people can do the same thing and experience it differently. That's
Ava.
what's a little tricky about
I'm
these,
just
like,
speaking
contestant-based videos.
in terms of like back then
how some things can affect someone, right? So
when
similar to the Weddle video,
she
I just wanna lay out
was
before we
a
go into
he.
specifically to that. Similar to that, we also did a video where we put two. Did you see the video where we put 2 people in a room, Bailey and Susie, 100 days trapped together? So one thing that Weddle struggled with was the lights being on, and he mentioned that in the video. But Bailey and Susie, on day 20 of 100 Day Trap together, I offered to turn the lights off for part of their prize pool, and they said no. And like the lights wasn't, I mean, I'm sure it was difficult, but it wasn't like that big of a difficulty for them. And so it's like something for them that's not that big of a difficulty. For other people can be, you know, challenging and hard. And like what I'm trying to say is you never know how someone's going to react to something, right? It's impossible to fully predict. And so that's one of these variables of these challenges, which is why we give people the ability to quit, you know what I mean, or to leave at any point. And so in his video, you know, he went 11 days, $110,000, right? I believe it was 11 days. Yes. And then he decided to quit on that day. And, you know, he mentions this in his video, like around day 11 or 12. I don't know what the day is off the top of my head, but he was struggling. And so we did turn off the lights. We sent a psychiatrist in there to check in on him. And we were like, yeah, he's not doing too well. And we ended the challenge and we paid him. Didn't go long enough where we got a video, so we didn't end up uploading it. But I think the big thing is just that's why we allow people to leave these challenges. Like my goal when doing these obviously isn't to like, you know, break people mentally or push them past their limits. It's just to like create an environment where they can challenge themselves and do something interesting or cool. And then when they've had it, like leave. You know what I mean? So I guess that's kind of how I would describe it. Does I mean, what are your thoughts on what I'm saying?
I think that makes sense. It's important to note that it's also voluntary.
Yeah, it's a voluntary challenge. You can leave at any
people
point.
paid exponential amounts of money,
Yeah.
and after all that stuff came out, and he sort of made the claims of how he was mistreated, etc. You reached out to him after the fact as well.
Yeah, I mean, now that you I didn't want to bring that kind of stuff up, but yeah, also off camera after he made that video, I reached out and was like, hey man, like obviously we weren't trying to cause you any mental stress with that video or anything, and is there any way I can help? And I ended up he seemed like he really needed some financial help, so I ended up sending him $50,000 completely off camera or anything. I mean, he talked about it publicly so people know, but yeah,
Because he can just get a job like everyone else.
Money from Mr. Beast after all that stuff. You said, yeah, this money, this $50,000. Well, first of all, you're gonna tax it. So
Look at this.
$30,000. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Cool.
Fucking little
it's-
weasel.
To me, that one's interesting because it's just a sort of a voluntary challenge, and it's difficult to.
I fucking hate that
It's a
guy.
very YouTube thing, right? It's a very YouTube thing, and the comparison of that to like war crimes, fairly tone deaf.
Yeah,
right, to
that-
compare it, like
yeah.
that's a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can move on from that. To be honest, there was litigation found against you surrounding Beast Games, your show on Amazon, in regard to unsafe workplace conditions, and a bunch of talk of files and videos and images and everything being sent to the documentaries and all this shit coming out in regard to the Beast Game show on Amazon. What is the litigation that
Yeah. Well,
found against you?
you know how litigation is. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to talk about it, which is a little. There's a lot of things I want to say here, so this is good. Trying to think specifically on the lawsuit that. So for context, what people have 5 anonymous Beast Game employees, or not employees, 5 anonymous Beast Game contestants submitted a lawsuit, and they sent it to the press, but conveniently all the actual claims are redacted, blacked out, so you can't actually see it. And I'm not allowed to disclose what's behind those black lines, but Beast Games, we had 1,000 people, we were doing big stuff, and just like with my
Quick rundown. Basically, people were saying that like they couldn't get medication when they needed it. Like they weren't getting fed as much as they should have been. Sleeping conditions were kind of fucked. Stuff like that, and like they're coming at Jimmy, and like he's not there to see. Like it's more the people that are put in place to run it, and clearly they weren't the right people to have that, and just replace them with better people. Pay more attention to the contestants. Moving forward, it's fine.
my normal videos, like they're
Obviously, like this shit shouldn't have happened in the first place, but like when you're doing something for the first time, you're gonna have like issues of shit like where you're not gonna be able to control it. So like
everything went to people, and there was one woman who we had when we were filming, we had obviously tons of feminine care products and stuff.
Here's a perfect example.
The feminine care products, and we didn't have allergen-free ones like tampons and pads. And she told someone, I don't know who she told, I haven't been able to find it, but I mean, I believe that she did, that she was allergic, and they didn't obviously do the logical thing, which is tell us or just drive to a local Walmart and buy some and give it to her. And so she wasn't able to get feminine care products in a reasonable amount of time, which is unacceptable.
See, and the problem is the employee looked at it as a fucking, that ain't my fucking problem, and just didn't care to do anything about it. And that's not Jimmy's fault. That's on the employee.
Be like, oh, 10 people broke their bones. Let's keep filming. You know what I mean? There's so much misinformation, pad thing and other things where, we did mess up on little things.
You said that like nobody
Everyone who showed up,
broken any bones or anything.
show up and then a second later leave and receive
Like
$2,000,
I don't
with
know.
2,000 contestants. That's $4 million.
Yeah.
And we told everyone.
Like obviously shit like that can
This is
happen.
damned if you do, damned if you don't. So we told everyone, no guaranteed money if you show up. I'm glad you asked this. No guaranteed money if you show up. Like you could walk away with $0. But then I wanted to surprise everyone. Gave them each $2,000, $4 million, which it's a lot of money. I could have gone and just bought a mansion instead of doing that. But what's even crazier is then people tried to, not like the contestants, but the internet, and their theories, tried to frame that as hush money. Like I gave them all $2,000 to like make them happy because we didn't tell them beforehand, and like to surprise them as they got eliminated. And then people are like, you just did that because of hush money. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like I also didn't give them like legal paperwork tied with it. Like that says it was just like completely baseless. It just shows like how crazy people go with the conspiracy theories and everything like that. But no, we did pay everyone $2,000. And on top of that,
Yeah, I don't know.
money than any competition show in history. I mean, we had the largest cash prize in history, and top of millions upon millions upon. Like throughout the show, we literally give away like 8 figures, tens of millions of dollars. So it's like,
Yeah, I mean,
normal competition
shit.
shows don't even pay anyone except for the grand prize.
Yeah, that
It's
too.
like funny because people actually compared it to reality. It's just not even in the same stratosphere.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of wild shit.
And again, they're
How
YouTube
you feel
videos.
about
Like,
all
it's
the stuff,
not.
You know, this is the first time you've been able to really speak in a.
He doesn't have the
all
influence
the
of
over
like
the last couple months. Like
he doesn't have all
what
the
his
right
mistakes were
people
over
to
the
call
We've hit
yet.
on months, we've hit
Like,
a couple
he's
times. I wish right after we dropped
trying to like
that
give
video
new
that we
people
dropped a couple weeks ago,
opportunities and
I
shit
know,
too, I
it's just about
assume.
this. Sorry, I have a little bit of cold. The thing is, I've just never been in a controversy like this before, so I just. I mean, this isn't even a controversy. This is like 100
This is
controversies.
bad, yeah.
So I truthfully, I just was also just ignorant on how to handle these kinds of things, and so it's been a good learning experience for me. You know, I definitely realized like me just sitting on a couch addressing a camera on serious things, like just not my style. I put a lot of time into like trying to figure out how to, you know, not just be weird. I like this more like conversational, where you can also ask follow-up questions, and it feels a little more real. You know what I mean? And like it's just so in the future, I'll probably like if there's stuff like this, I'll probably just do something like this. You know what I mean? Or not.
And that's why I have the camera on, honestly.
Every time I have to
It's just like more
so, you know,
real,
but
raw.
yeah, honestly, I just kind of wish I did this sooner.
You see facial expressions and shit, like.
As well, people are gonna be like, well, he's media trained, he's got a PR team, he's a genius, he's gonna walk circles around you, he's gonna manipulate you, he's the antichrist, he's the fucking devil horns guy. But like, you know, I'm asking questions that my team and I wrote based on information that's publicly available, and the assumption is after this you're going to send receipts to back up any additional questions we have in the post process. You know, so that's what's huge. Like, I'm not trying to like debate necessarily.
I mean, there were definitely a couple things you asked me that I'm a little uncomfortable with. Like,
I can tell. Yeah,
I was. But yeah, I mean, if that's what the internet wants to know, then I just want to give them what they have, so I can just wake up and, you know, obsess over making the best videos possible and that kind of stuff, like I used to in the good old days, aka 4 months ago.
The good old days.
What I want people to, because I get a sense you're winding things down. I just want to make very clear though, like I'm not perfect, and I don't want people to think I'm trying to give off this impression. You can't criticize me.
Nobody is. Everyone makes mistakes.
Even though I've done this, like just the nature of, you know, you really have to just put yourself in the position of like, we're doing things that have never been done before. I'm like, who's even built a company this large on YouTube? Like, everything I'm doing, from the videos to the spectacles to building the company, it's really never been done before. And your boy is going to make mistakes. And you know, one thing I hope my track record shows is when I'm become aware of mistakes, how do I do everything in my power to try to fix them. You know what I mean? And I hope that's what my track record shows, and that's what I hope.
That's all you can do, man.
Perfect, or I never did anything wrong. That just like, yeah, I mess up, and when I do, I try.
What with the crypto?
And if you had like a final message for critics and fans, what would the
Give more info on fucking Ava.
I mean, fair. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. And then your people who you know still, I guess there's not really they don't know about any of this stuff. So your fans, they don't really care.
I mean, yeah, I'd love to see what they think of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel pretty good about it. There's nothing where I'm like, oh, we didn't
Today, I mean, that was like
thing raw. Just throw.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
That sounds good.
And here's the follow-up questions.
December 19th.
It's like there was shit that they missed.
That last part was completely wrong. We did miss a few questions, and I called Jimmy the next morning to get clarification on a few more things, specifically Ava Shadman and some more of the crypto allegations. Here's that footage. We'll talk a little bit about Ava Tyson and specifically the Shadman stuff. I know we talked about the third-party investigation, which found no wrongdoing in like a legal sense from that perspective. A thing that a lot of people care about is Shadman's a fucking freak and is a disgusting person. Did you know about the painting in? Did you know about that? Have you ever interacted with Shadman before? Like, what is your relation to that, and specifically that relationship between Shadman and Ava Tyson and you?
Yeah, no, that's actually a good follow-up question. So this is what it was like. I don't remember 7, 8 years ago. Back then, I used to have like a bunch of anime posters up on the wall. I'm just like set a foundation for context. We used to have a bunch of anime posters and things like that on our wall in the house. And
I have a fucking shotgun on my wall.
Poster that was like an animated character holding a fidget spinner and a gun. Admittedly, it's a weird image. I didn't know who made it. You know, I just kind of assumed it was a meme. I obviously did not know who Shadman was. I've never spoken with Shadman. I did not buy the poster or
shotgun.
anything. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really think too much of it because we just had like a lot of anime posters and things up, and it was an animated character.
Got a fucking pull stick.
Obviously. And yeah, knowing what I know about Shadman now, it was a very weird thing to buy. I'm not really sure why she bought it, to be frank. And yeah, I mean,
My computer?
I get more details. I mean, this was so long ago. Obviously, I don't know the like exact thoughts going through my head, but I just remember, like, I agree, it is a little bit of a weird poster. But I also think
No
like,
anime
you know, I had, like,
posters.
Naruto posters up, or I had like Code
Jimmy
Geass posters,
Beast.
like random animes I used to watch, and like, you know, I never like reverse image search and Googled, oh, who made this Code Geass anime poster that's sitting on the wall or whatever. I don't, you know, I don't. Your first instinct when you just see a poster is not to just go, who made that, and deep dive them. So
Yeah, are they a pedophile? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah,
Maybe not necessarily, but like, where'd you get that from? And then like maybe a Google search. And then like, once you see what that dude like draws, maybe draw a conclusion or two. Like,
her buying it is very weird, and I obviously, if I had known,
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I also, after all this stuff, I didn't know who Shadman was. I've heard of him a little bit on Twitter and shit, but
I didn't either, but it didn't take long to figure it out.
Important, you know, people, because that's fucked up. That guy is disgusting. And you know, people do care. It's like you've got pedo art, and you were saying you didn't know. That's yeah, it's disgusting. Fucking Shadman is a freak. So, okay, you said that I was manipulated by Dogpack. But before that, you said that you
A lot of people
commentary
were.
guys or some YouTubers like evidence of like the Delaware stuff, basically context. And I just wanted to know. So you did reach out to me. We talked a little bit in the very beginning.
Okay, he's just as hurt that he didn't send him like the video about Delaware
and
sooner.
You refute a lot of stuff, but there was just no. I didn't get any sort of evidence or anything like that. It's just. I think it's a lot of you know, a lot of this mistake.
Yeah, I think in my head is I just called you, was like, hey, off the top of my dome, here's a bunch of things that aren't true, and then you just said, hey, you probably did say something along the lines of I need evidence, and then you know, at the time, that's where it's just like this is all a blur. I don't even remember what days it was. Maybe back then was like when I was working on my response video or whatever. But agreed. Like I don't think you did anything wrong. Like I didn't send you like, oh, here's a doc of everything. You know what I mean? And then you just ignored it.
Right.
Yeah. So
because I mean,
probably should have.
No, you know, and I'm not trying to like guilt you or whatever. It's just you know, this whole thing is really crazy, and it seems like it's gone so far just because you know, you tried to do what was right, which is have a third party investigation, and like a lot of this stuff is just because like there wasn't the information wasn't conveniently accessible to YouTube, which is like a really big problem in a weird way. It's like it was like you're suffering from trying to do it right, but also suffering from people not having convenient access to like just a doc or something, like a doc of information. Just so I mean, I guess in the future,
lawyers.
That's disproven or that is not true. Obviously,
Like, it's an active, ongoing thing.
Like everything else that is important. I feel like there is a level of transparency you're operating with, which I respect, and you know, yeah, it would have been. I feel like this wouldn't have been as bad. So it's tough to say. Not to you know, say I deserve the benefit of the doubt or whatever. I absolutely should have researched more. But once again, it's a bigger problem. I feel like that. I think hopefully will be mitigated more in the future by this all coming out, and hopefully how transparent this video that I'm making right now with you is.
Yep, all fair points.
No, still have questions.
I know I talked about CoffeeZilla a little bit yesterday. He's awesome. I think he does really good work on YouTube, and he holds people accountable. And you know, it's just impressive. He does actual real investigatory work. Like he's not the guy who makes videos out of convenience like most of other like me and a bunch of other commentary YouTubers. So, you know, I feel like it's my responsibility to ask some more questions about the crypto stuff because we sort of glossed over it a little bit yesterday. And it's one of those things where it's note heavy, receipt heavy. So, you know, if you don't know something, you just let me know. And if you have to go find information or whatever to back up what you're saying, you know, I don't expect you're like a politician and have all your fucking, you know, we're not debating philosophy or politics. Like, I don't expect you to have everything at your left hand. I understand you're busy. So, you know, if there's information you can provide so we can put it in post, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay. So first one is Wu-Tang. You have said that you do not control the Wu-Tang wallet. You said that last night. You said that a friend did it. You said you didn't know what Wu-Tang was.
A fund did it, yes. Not a friend.
Right. Okay, a fund. Okay. On a podcast with Logan Paul about CryptoPunks, you talk about a call you had with Mr. Gary, where you claim to have bought and or sold CryptoPunks, but then later decided to roll the money into VFriends. And this is all like video, obviously. And this trading activity all happened within the Wu-Tang wallet, which we talked about last night.
Yes.
So if it was your decision, you know, if semantically, if what you're talking about on the podcast, if it was your decision, your trading decision to buy and sell the punks or VFriends, even though you didn't press the buttons, was it actually your decision? did you press the button? Did you not press the button? Was it your decision? And if it was your decision, and even if you didn't press the button, it still, to me, would mean that you had control of those trading decisions.
Yeah, these are good questions. Actually, I'm glad we're doing this follow-up thing so we can also just put all this stuff out there. So, yeah, I did say that in the podcast, and I obviously did not press the buttons. Like I've been saying, I didn't pick what punks to buy or anything. Gary Vee, like I said on that podcast, called me and a bunch of other people, said crypto punks are the next big thing. I thought it was pretty crazy, but the first thing I did right after that is just called the guy in charge of the fund who invested my money, and it's other people's money as well.
And said, hey.
Gary Vee seemed very passionate about these punks. You should look into it. If it makes sense, buy it. And so, he did the research, picked what punks to buy, bought them. I don't even truthfully know how to buy punks. I've never bought one, like me personally.
Imagine that.
To that wallet. So, I mean, in other transparency, like that's kind of high level how it went. But if he was like, oh, this is a shit investment, then he wouldn't have bought them. So he was the one who was doing the buying and selling and managing things.
Okay.
But you told him to do that, like so case closed. You fucking were in charge of it.
So,
the fund did hold.
You gave them money and said, make me money however it deems necessary.
Mentioned that your fund, Wu-Tang, had been selling and continued to sell super on the day and after you tweeted about it or responded to a tweet.
Yeah, now they're going into a specific coin.
That we spoke about last night. I think all that stuff is huge and massive. But as the charity guy, if your fund is privately making like millions of dollars during a charity drop that your name is attached to.
Okay, this one was a little weird.
So again, that I would say is not fully correct. So the charity drop happened. One sold. The other ones weren't selling. No one cared. So there was no selling of NFTs to raise money for charity anywhere near where the fund was selling before or after. People could technically still have bought those NFTs, but no one did because it just basically no one cared. So I just don't feel like that's a fair criticism. Like they gave Team C some NFTs to raise money. One sold. No one cared. And then it just basically died. And then just under a month later, it looks like the fund sold some tokens, completely unrelated to all of this. So it's not.
It was basically like they just sold early. And like, I don't know. It was like, it looks like a rug pull, but like, if no one was into it, then like no one was into it. You can't really like blame them, I guess. I don't know. I still don't agree with the whole crypto shit and like making money however like you can. Like,
in the middle of all of it, they sold some earn tokens. It's like
I don't know. I don't agree with it.
Charity, sell just basically died. It's not going. No one's buying it. No one ever buying it anymore. And almost a month later, it sold. So I mean, if anything, it looks like the people in the fund were being cognizant of it and paused selling and waited till long after it ended to do it. You know what I mean? So I actually disagree. I don't think anything.
Like, what are they trying to catch him on? Like, this is the only possible thing that I think he could be doing. It's not like he's embezzling money through drugs or anything.
I mean, and obviously not all of it is biased, the fund, but it was also known that my fund was invested in it, and I was a part of the fund. So it's also not like it was hidden that we were invested in Earn. Like that was public information.
Right. Cool. Yeah, you just maximum transparency there. It's like if there's any other information you want to send in regard to that, I've got the DMs of from Nick Rose, the CEO of Eternity Chain, talking about that there will be a 2-month auction for charity, and that quote unquote Mr. Beast is supporting both drops. Which obviously that's not you saying that is this guy, but yeah, it's just something to be super transparent about.
100%, and I'm glad I could give color on these things. To be honest, so I'm glad like people now can see what I have to say on both those things, and I actually appreciate this follow-up call. This is good. Like it actually, now I actually feel like I mean, unless you have any other questions, everything's been hit.
No, yeah, that's it. I mean,
Lakoya Hill.
Did you think of anything?
I'm actually never doing that again.
I investigated Mr. Beast.
I don't care. Well, my conclusions are, what the fuck about Lakoya Hill? Like, why was he just like moved around instead of like getting rid of him if he was sexually harassing employees? I feel like there was definitely more to do with the whole Chris Tyson Delaware situation. Like, I feel like that someone had to know. I don't buy the fact that nobody knew. Like, I feel like it had to have come up somehow. I don't believe that Jimmy didn't do any sort of, like, who the fuck is Shadman research. I don't agree with the making the money on the crypto shit. Like, you're rich enough, dude. Like, just stop. And I feel like there was some other shit that
Which is good. Disinformation.
I had opinions on. I'm trying to look here. The first illegal lottery was just like stupid mistake. Like all the other ones had the free entry. Like he said it like audibly and then had it in the description of the video. So it was just the first one that he did that was a little sketchy because it's like the first one that he ever did. So I don't really blame him. Like Captain Sparkles admitted to doing one. Because, like, you don't think about it, like, when you're doing, you just think, oh, let's give away stuff to people that buy stuff randomly. Like, it's, you're not really thinking about the legal implications of it. You're just trying to, like, do a cool thing for people. Crypto fund, obviously, we're not fucking with that. Antichrist, charity, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Well, that obviously, like, not who cares, but like, simple mistake. Shut up, you're not cleaning the seas. Is anybody, like, taking care of these wells? Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Proved wrong. Manufacturing defect. Again. Jake Whittle's a pussy. Just literally leave. Tell them that you can't run a fucking marathon. Like, I can't run a marathon. I would just look at him and be like, bro, there's no way I could fucking do this. Like, is there something else we could do? Just be like, I cannot physically run 26 miles. Like, that's insane. Yeah, that's about it. That's about all I have to say. So, we're still left with questions after 5 months of dealing with this shit. But we have clarification on like 90% of it. So, that's better than where we were 2 weeks ago. So, it's almost midnight. I have work in the morning. I'm ending the stream. Hope you enjoyed. Tune in tomorrow. We're going back to Skyblock. Yeah. Have a good one. Sleep well. Don't piss the bed. Bye.